Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here for Sunday Night Geekery number 134. And of course, it's as everyone knows, it's a really sad night. But I thought it would be good to get together again. I wasn't sure if it was going to cancel or keep going, but it's Father's Day, and I thought it'd be another time to obviously talk about our all of our good friend and father figure, fittingly on Father's Day, Clobberin Times, Mike Alonso. So behalf of Raquel and I don't know if Raquel is out there listening or going to hear this, but you guys have all been a huge support for us. Obviously, everyone was close to Clobberin Times, but we had us three, us three of us together. The clubhouse had a special bond, and Raquel with Saturday Night Star Trek. What an amazing duo they were together on Saturday Night Star Trek, and then to be able to share bits and pieces of that show at the end and become part of it was a true honor. And each of us goes through grief and works things out in different ways. So I just want to thank everyone. And I was away this weekend at a wedding, and it did kind of help. I mean, I was thinking about Mike the whole time, especially 10 p.m. when it was time for Star Trek. Raquel made that beautiful video, and of course I put that on the wedding. Was trying not to cry during the wedding. Well, it was at night. It was during the reception, but I was getting a little misty-eyed again watching that. So shout out to Raquel for that. Another nice tribute, and that opening. Yeah, just can never think of anyone else. Star Trek. It's always going to be thinking of Mike and my other good buddy Rob, who passed away too. I always think of him as Star Trek. So those two guys, hopefully, are two of my good buddies. Are hopefully meeting up in the heavens. Going to be discussing Mirror Mirror and Piece of the Action, and because these things bind us together. These IPs and Star Trek and comics, and some people might think they're silly, but they really help us enjoy life and get through life. And I got to confess, I watched the end of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, that beautiful tribute to Spock and that funeral scene, and of course thinking of Mike the whole time. So yeah, it's really hard to process. Yeah, thank you, Ravenscroft. And I'll get to the chat and introduce everyone in a minute, but yeah, we're not going to spend the whole time tonight talking about Mike. Maybe we'll get to a little of the normal business, but of course he's always going to be on our minds, and we can't start the first Sunday Night Geekery without him, without paying tribute to him. I mean, I was 132 shows that he never missed. He was here for the very first one, and of course when I started streaming, I did a few videos on my own, and then he was always, I'll be there, buddy. So he was always there. And Raquel was, on my one of my first streams too. I think I did Battlestar Galactica toys. Together, all of us as a trio. And Mike never missed the Sunday Night Geeker. So that's when I was talking to Steve last week. Said, "Where's Mike? Where's Clobby?" I mean, it's not like him. He never answered anything in the chat. Totally unlike him. And unfortunately, which I said on the Wednesday stream, I'm never gonna forget this message. Hi Mark, this is Jonathan, Mike's son. Please call my cell. And there's the number, obviously, whenever you can. And right then I knew, because my message is for just checking if you're okay. Missing you on Sunday Night Geekery, and never got, didn't get a response. I said, oh, maybe you got a flat tire, or, something happened, or he's just staying with family, or maybe he's not feeling good and can't make it. So those are the messages you dread getting, but life has to go on. But it's been tough to process, and I was trying to explain to my wife how close we are, and even though we never met. So I'm going to be headed down for the ceremony. We'll talk a little bit about the ceremony and what's happening down there. I don't think everything is set in stone yet, but there's a date and a venue, and I believe the time is locked in. And then also Jonathan requested that we stream it. So one way or another, we're going to try to figure out a way to stream it, and hopefully give people a chance to actually, come in on StreamYard. I'm not sure about the logistics yet. Maybe some of the Clobberin Times streaming buddies, possibly, so the family can hear that. Maybe we'll set up a speaker in the room, and of course, then anyone that's speaking, a portion of it's going to, assume is going to be, tributes to Mike. So we're going to try to work out those logistics and hopefully be able to get it streamed, because it's not going to be easy, I'm sure, for we're all around the globe and around the world. I know Raquel's trying to get there, but it's very difficult being in Canada, or Hoth as we like to joke, to get there, and not that easy. So and we want to do whatever the family wants too, right? So if
100%.
would never ask to stream it if the family didn't want it. Yeah.
And Mark, don't worry about a lot of that, because I know you're making plans on coming down and the backdoor stuff. I talked to Jonathan on Thursday and again on Friday, and we already have some logistical stuff worked out in our heads and a plan
Yeah.
B. So whatever you guys decide you want, there'll be people in this end that can handle that while you guys are doing the live attendance, which is important.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that some of y'all are going to be there and representing all of us, So
Yeah, it's going to be make it a lot. Nothing's easy, but it makes it a lot easier to have everyone helping. And we'll figure out those technical. I've done that before enough where I've streamed things and had to go out. But we'll need people on the back end to. I could just be there just if something needed, but if we have someone hosting up, but those are all the details we'll work out. But I'll put the links in to the obituary, and we'll show Mike's obituary too, obviously. But I want to thank, of course, I'm sorry I'm backed up on the chat, but I just wanted to say those words in introduction and tribute to Mike again. And of course, we've got Pat S, who was down south there, down kind of near Clobberin Times home neck of the woods. So thank you, Pat S, for being here and helping out with everything going on with the ceremony. And we've got Dad Man Walking, who I'm not sure if you're going to be there. I know maybe you're going to try, Dad Man, right?
No, we're going.
Oh, you're going. Okay, you're going.
We're just jumping the car head down I-10 is our plan, unless something happens with Mom or something.
Okay. Well, it'll be good to see you in person finally. And I just got word from Delta Airlines that clam pizza is not an approved carry-on
Mark,
item.
I don't care, Mark. If I see you there, I want to eat clam pizza with you. I will eat it with you.
You have a fun time finding edible clam pizza in South Louisiana.
Well, I think if anybody could, Mark could find it. So
it'll be out of a can.
It doesn't matter. That can work. We did that one night.
So
I think probably motivated Mark will make it work.
We'll share something good. Maybe this good with extra tentacles.
So I'm going to step in here and say, not just no, but hell no. Not only am I not having clam pizza, but Mark's not either, because he's only going to be there a few days, and we got to get him some good gumbo, jambalaya, etouffee, good muffaletta, or you say muffalata, shrimp po' boy.
Steve, I already have an unofficial list from Mark of here's 20 things, pick 3.
Well, one thing that I would like to do, if possible, and it may not be, so every time I went to Baton Rouge, I always saw Mike, and we always had lunch at a great Cajun place called Pa Rans on Perkins Road. I don't know how well you know Baton Rouge. It may not be possible, but I would sure like to go there with everybody and have a toast to Mike. But if not, I mean, we're only there, limited amount of time, and this is kind of my personal. Oh God, Mr. Angel just said yum clam pizza. Maybe I'm the oddball here. Maybe
well, let me let me say hi to everyone in the chat. I apologize for letting the chat backed up. I just couldn't concentrate, and that's what one of Clobberin Times superpowers was. And I did see some of the chat going by, but I just want to acknowledge everyone that's here. So, and thank you, Steve Benjamin, of course, that 70s rock fan. Hail, Brian. Hail, buddy.
Hey,
thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
So let me just get to the chat real quick, guys, so I can say. So we got Phantom Outsider, Ravenscroft is here, Putin's Cat. Let's see who else is in the chat. We've got Orville Nation. Hey, PJ, thank you for being here. Your Muslim Uncle, Dave G. Sound. And we've also got, let's see, as I scrolling. And a lot of nice comments about Clobberin Times. Thank you, everyone. Oh, there's Steve in the chat here. I get Apolly's Minion. Hello. Hail to the truck dog. I think I said Putin's Cat. And Joe's Atmosphere. Thank you, Joe, for being here. That was one thing Mike actually mentioned to me. I think I mentioned that on air. I can't remember what I said Wednesday, but he was actually, or maybe I said this in the chat to someone. He was actually thinking of doing away with the goodbyes at the end of the night. Not because he didn't like doing it. And hail to Brian Hepburn. Thank you for being here. Because he was worried about missing anyone. And I always worry about that too. So that was, and D. Bud Martin, hail D. Bud Martin, the man of iron. That was one thing that he mentioned. And of course, he never did it. Stephen M., hail. Chris Persia, Joe Dog. He just didn't want to leave anyone out. So, San Lee, thank you for being here. Mr. Angel.
Did you say Nick Weiser?
I'm catching up. Pop Goes the World. Well, hail to Nick Weiser. I'm getting down there. San Lee. Thank you again, everyone, for being here tonight to support us. Yep, Stephen M. And if I missed anyone, Ironhide 84, hail, you can shout them out for me. We've got a lot of chat going on, which is great. Could not be reached for further comment. Let's see. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Claude Saline. We got Mr. Penny's here. Hi, Penny. Wow, we got the chat. We got a lot of chat going on here, which I appreciate. Yep. Dave saying I'll try to and Lisa's here. Hey, we've got Supergirl icon. So channel members, you can put the Supergirl icon in here.
Mark, if I could just cut in for 1 second.
Sure, cut in. Yeah.
I'm going to be lurking for a little while. Somebody refuses to go to bed without me there. So
I wonder who that is.
It's the cute girl in the Spidey pajamas. So so I will be online and listening, but I won't be talking probably until she's asleep. Okay.
That's okay. Yep.
Read
us some good stories. Yep.
Thanks for understanding, everybody.
Yep.
Cheers, man.
Thank you, Steve. Yep. Cheers. Yep.
Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, the kids never want to go to.
Well, I've got my painkillers, my shin guards, my face mask. I think I'm all ready to try and put her to bed.
Yeah, right. That's what happens. Yeah. So let me get to my YouTube, back to my chat here. Of course, now my channel's not showing up. Why is my channel not showing up when I go to? I think my channel, if I'm on my YouTube, that would show up first, right? So, but yeah, I really appreciate everyone being here, and all the support has made things a lot. I'm not saying easier, but a lot better. And really want to thank everyone, and of course all my buddies on YouTube and Raquel and everyone for being here. And actually, I just want to say, please, I don't know how to turn off super chats. I appreciate it, but I'm going to put the link in for the GoFundMe, and thank you so much, Michael Beacom. But rather have everything go to the family. So I'll put that towards the family, and it is kind of a bittersweet night because it's something that's really, really tough. It's Father's Day, and actually it's my birthday in about a half hour. So
wow. Yeah.
So my birthday a lot of times falls on Father's Day, just like my dad was.
Well, I'm glad to welcome you to your 60s, the same as me.
I got a few more years to go, but getting there. But I won't look as good as you when I'm that age. So yeah.
Yeah, just don't use a magnifying glass.
Right.
Yeah.
That's for sure. My God. Yep. So let me put Clobberin Times, or one of the mods can put that in the Clobberin Times GoFundMe again. Well, I'll pin that to the top of the screen. So yeah.
Sounds good.
So
Mark, while you're doing that, is it okay if I say a little something? Because I think we're
you
going to
go
talk
for
a
it. Go.
lot. We're going to talk a lot about Clobby tonight, but I think it's very important to point out some of this stuff because, dude, I'm going to tell you guys in chat and y'all on the stream and everything. Steve, I hope you're hearing this. I just was like glued to my phone and my tablet, and when all this happened, I was just going around seeing how many people knew about Clobby, what was going on, what people were saying, and I just would be remiss if I didn't say a few things. And one is, well, actually, you know what? I'll come back to you. We'll do you last, but I want to say Wednesday night, the news breaks, right? Like people Wednesday afternoon, really, people start finding out
Yeah, Wednesday afternoon. Yeah.
that he had passed, and I have to give who maybe had one of the hardest things to do, and that was Dadman and Mrs. Dadman. We're on with Raymond Feliciano, Dolphin TV. Good guy, great friend. Loved Clobby himself. He and his great wife Sandra. They were actually, I think, maybe even rolling or had just started when they got that news, and they spent a nice, good first half.
We had not yet gone started. We were trying to get the confirmation just before he went live, but it was right up against when he went live. Absolutely.
Yeah. And dude, that had to be tough, you know? And then the other Wednesday night shows and seeing people hop on Twitter. I saw 70s a couple times, including Friday night, was personally there to witness, you know, him sharing some stories about Clobby. If you haven't watched Nick Weiser's Friday night, in a lot of ways, maybe almost as heartbreaking as Wednesday night, because those guys, you know, had been doing that for so long, and Nick and Pablo and Iron Cat, those guys who'd been there, you know, for so long together. Yeah, Nick doing that moment of silence, it really was nice. Tom hasn't hardly started a stream in the last 4 or 5 days that he hasn't done it. Loki did a whole show Thursday morning and Friday night, and talked about Clobby extensively and positively. Gary from Pop Culture Minefield was so broken up, dude. He couldn't even talk Wednesday night. He kept going back and forth. There's Mexican Iron Man dude saying, "I don't know if I can do this," and I'm telling him, like, buddy, you have to. People are expecting to hear from you. We know how you are. You've got to go on and express yourself. And I'm sure I'm missing a dozen people. But it was just amazing how many shows started. How Baron Ormontag, excuse me, and Pacifica 411. I always mix that up, guys, in my head. Pacifica, you guys know who I'm talking about. They talked about him 24/7. Dude, a beautiful tribute. Go on Twitter, you can find that. Those guys together with Loki and of course our old buddy Clobby on the comic book round table that had 4 different iterations and time shifts and everything, and those guys together with you know, classic comics and all that. It's just it was heartbreaking over and over again, but yet it was so nice to see. And I just wanted to, you know, really point that out. And like I said, I hope Steve can hear this, because guys, as much as we love Clobby and we knew him and do this, and he was our buddy and stuff like that, Steve really has known him since he's a kid. And you know, for Steve to be going through this, I'm glad he knows that there's other people that know him. And Mark, there again, Wednesday night, that was not what that was supposed to be. You guys said that at the beginning. It was going to be the great J-Man and Sean. I don't want to forget them. I was saving them to this part. J-Man, such a great friend of Clobby's, and streamed with him almost as much as he streamed with you, buddy. it was supposed to be just a regular, let's do something for Clobby kind of night, and it ended up being a tribute. Yeah,
do a watch party, because you hear that people in comas can sometimes. I believe they can hear too. So the idea was, let's support Mike and keep Clobby company. So Raquel did that Tuesday night after the Monday night show. We had a lot of hope, and then Wednesday we had the it's Mike's night to stream, Clobby's night to stream, the Wild Card Wednesday. So we were gonna have J-Man and Sean on, and beam it into the room. And unfortunately, we got the word that 3:15 or 4:15 I guess 4:15 my time, that Mike had passed, and we, Raquel and I, didn't really want to go on. But I said, people need an outlet, and we got through it. It wasn't easy for Raquel, wasn't easy for me, and so it's tough. But I think it was important to.
Well, Mark, like Pat mentioned, we had that dilemma with Raymond right at the time. Right? I had a little bit of advance notice, but it still was so breaking and all that. What do you do? And Raymond made the decision, and we touched on it. It's hard call, but I think one of the things that I've known Clobby for is just don't make so much of a focus on him. You keep going, you keep doing, and we really got to the point of it probably going on is what he would want, and I think you mentioned about having an outlet for people, and I mean the hardest thing was trying to make sure fact from fiction at that point.
The details. Yeah, and I knew
we tried to stay with
a lot of the details. Thanks to Steve, and a big shout out to Claude. And Claude, I don't know if you're here listening, but I know I mentioned if Claude wanted to come on, I should send him the link. I don't know if he's hearing this, but he's been doing some great artwork and great cartoons about Clobberin Times, and he's got something planned for the memorial that's looking really cool, and a huge tribute to Mike. Sad, I shouldn't say cool, but beautiful tribute, as I knew a little bit of stuff. And Jonathan, I didn't want to bug Jonathan, but he had kept me in the loop. But I didn't want to say anything until the family, and I'd missed some of those family announcements, I guess, right at the end, or maybe I didn't want to believe it, And then Claude, Claude was the person who I've been in touch with Claude a lot, and Steve Mitchum, thank you, and Loki had visited Clobberin Times, so got to talk to him, and it was. When Claude said it's over, and I, what do you mean it's over? I didn't want to believe it was over. I'm like, then I had to say, stupid me, did he pass? He's like, yes, he passed. But, it's you don't want to believe it, right? So that's what everyone's saying. It was such a shock to everyone, and it was just but I'm glad that the family, I think Jonathan took a huge amount of strength and courage. His dad had just passed that day, to come on and talk to us, and I think it was heartwarming for him to see the family to see how much it's a second life here, and pardon the pun, I guess, second life. But if you're not on YouTube, like my wife, I was trying to explain to her today, how much we all appreciated Clobberin Times, and I kept telling him what good friends I've become with Raquel and Mike just from streaming together. And of course, I mentioned other guys too, but that's who I spent most of the time with online was Mike, and she didn't. I just broke down trying to tell her how good of a friend he's become, because it's not like you can come over for dinner, or head out to a restaurant, or it's not the same, just not the same thing, but doesn't lessen how much you appreciate a person, or get close to a person. But it's it's still, you wish you could have had those moments in person, or be a little bit closer, or I'm looking at the flights, and it's expensive to go down, but like, why didn't I do it last year at least, or say let's go down for Mardi Gras or whatever, just jump on the plane and do it when it's unfortunately for Raquel, it's just so damn expensive to get down here, so I feel bad, but I know she's gonna try. But for me, I'm New York City area, so it's there's a lot more flights, and flying to New Orleans isn't direct flights and everything. So fortunately, I can get down there, but you kind of kick yourself. So everyone, out there, that's a message that's going around, tell people how much you care about them. And, life is short, and you do know that message, but this is another kick in the pants to everyone. Oh, someone's streaming from a Hail 6 from a metal shop. I don't know. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know if that's from, hopefully not me, but I'm not sure who that feedback's from. But maybe that's gone now. We'll blame StreamYard, or blame me. That's in my contract, as we always said. Yeah, but yeah. And Ravenclaw says, regrets a natural part, but please, your Clobby's great friend, you won't want to feel guilty. Yeah, that's typical. Thank you for that. Yeah, typical Mike wouldn't want to. He'd hate any of the attention. I know that, right? We all know that, because whenever I'd say to him, you know so much about comic books, you're the one of the top comic book YouTubers, like and you are a YouTuber on like Mexican Iron Man, and I don't know anything. What do you what do you mean you don't know everything? And as Nick Weiser said, he forgot more about comics than most of us know, probably. So just a great talent, a great personality too. I mean, Mike was just someone everyone gravitated towards, and Steve has said, and Pat, and people that know him in real life, Claude, he made friends wherever he went, which is no surprise because he did that on YouTube. I mean, everyone wanted to hang out with the guy and talk to the guy. And I was very lucky that he brought me into his close circle, with Raquel, and we'd hang out sometimes for like an hour, sometimes like an hour and a half after the show, and I'm like, I gotta get to work tomorrow, and I'm a late night person anyway. But God, I wish I not even would record one of them, but just wish I maybe I did wish I did record one of those, just to listen to those off the cuff, it's in your brain. But of course, we got all the YouTube shows that we can thankfully that we can go listen to and enjoy. All the great wisdom and charm and voices and beautiful things that Mike did on air. But of course, I'd never record. Yeah, if I have friends out there, no, I wouldn't record you behind your back. But just one
It's
of those
recorded
things.
in your head, mate. That's the important thing.
That's true. That's
head.
true.
Yeah,
it's in my head. That's true. But that's just, if anyone remembers Hercules and the character Recorder from the Bob Layton miniseries, it was actually, I think it was one of the, I think if the first, if not one of the first miniseries out about the same time as the Wolverine limited series in the 80s, when I always loved that character of Recorder, the Recorder. So, recording in history, amateur history buff, or just appreciate history. I'm not nowhere near an expert or claim to be, but always appreciate history. And that's just I'm a very amateur photographer, so I'm like considered the family historian, or like for our grammar school, like I'm the one that scanned in all the the old yearbooks, which aren't that big, they're it's in the 70s, so not that tough to do. But it's something I've always loved, and just thankfully we've got all those great memories of Mike. Yep. So just beautiful stuff. And no, Lee, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you for showing support. Yeah, but if anyone can, I'm gonna send all these. I haven't made my donation to the GoFundMe yet. I was waiting, but anyone that does donate tonight, I'll put that in towards the GoFundMe. But thank you very much, much appreciated. Yeah, and the opinions were just so much fun. So I want to give Brian a chance to maybe reminisce a little bit, or tell it. When did you first meet Clobberin Times?
I can't remember a specific
game
time. Yeah, possibly. I remember this coming. I don't know how I came across his channel, whether it was through you or whether I came to you through him, but I certainly remember listening to this guy, because I know nothing about comics. Like, comics are not my thing. And I remember listening to this guy, Clobby, talking about comics, and I could listen for hours. to him just talking about comics, even though I knew nothing about them. It was fascinating. The depth. I was so impressed with the depth of his knowledge. But eventually, somehow, ended up appearing in a couple of shows with him, and a couple of your shows, a couple of his shows, and he was just such a welcoming guy. You know, he would,
he was,
like, he just say, yeah, come on, of course you can come on and chat, and then just, you know, he would listen to everything you had to say. Doesn't mean he agreed with it, but he would listen to what you had to say, and he was always very respectful of that, and but just so welcoming. You know, everyone that came into the chat on every one of his shows, he would all call them all out by name and say hello and good to see you. And I don't think he ever missed anybody ever. It's just so warm and welcoming. I just loved streaming with him. I was always honored they would even let me anywhere near his show, given again, I know very little about comics. But then we had this shared, I remember being in chats that he was in. This is about 4 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
And talking about things like Blake Seven in the chats, and realizing that there was somebody else that liked that and liked other of these science fiction shows of the of British ones.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing than the comics.
That's your thing, right?
Yeah, and realizing there was somebody out there knew what I was talking about and had heard of it, and not only had heard of it, but knew it so in such detail, the things I'd forgotten years ago, and was so
Amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean the things he knew about, and the dialogue he could remember from shows.
Yeah,
Yeah, about 70s, especially the BBC stuff, huh, dude? I mean,
Yes.
I'll never forget. I made a offhanded comment about Blackadder, and then from then on out, right? It's like I've learned everything he knew about Blackadder, Red Dwarf, the Young Ones. Well, all that, right. Of course, Doctor Who, right? I mean, he loved old Doctor Who, so
he did, and that's something that's where I really fell in love with him over talking about that stuff. And then I would talk about a show like The Tripods, and he'd heard of it and knew it, like just really cheesy British sci-fi. The Tomorrow People, all these shows that he knew,
and I've heard of him through him. I just want to interrupt and say hi to Captain Notfinity, and Night says, I do have a PayPal, but anything can go towards the Mike's. Once in a while the StreamYard link will pop up with my tip that goes to PayPal, but just if you can, just you don't have to, but if anyone feels like that's going towards, of course, in the beginning we were hoping it was going to be towards helping Mike towards rehab or getting home, but this is going to help pay for any unfortunately, I hate to say it now, funeral expenses and help pay for, I'm sure, the memorial service that's happening. Unfortunately, it's these things are expensive, so but sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay, mate. No, but just the I think somebody said it in the chat. I was just seeing the chat go by that. That's what YouTube should be. It's that it created a community. He talked passionately about things that he liked. They were okay. He dissed a few things, but that was fun. We had a lot of fun with that. It was the passion, the fellowship, the community. I agree. I mean, even if I can emulate that a tiny little bit with him as an example or as a mentor, then I would consider myself to be on the right lines. Just talking about the things that you love like that. It's at Ravenscroft. It's everything why YouTube should be. Is something to emulate. I think Clobby's a guy that people should if you were to say who does it well, I would point to a guy like Clobby and say that guy did it very, very well because he was himself and he talked about the things he loved, and he was also inclusive of bringing people in, that kind of inclusivity to and having that fellowship with them. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a very eloquent guy at the best of times, so but I think that's, for me, there was this welcome, this fellowship he built, this community, the people that he attracted to him. It says a lot about the guy, so Anyway,
You did good, dude. I know exactly what you're saying, and I
yeah.
think you heard me say this Friday night. But it bears repeating because I kind of figured it out while I was talking about it. It was like, especially like that. Oh man, it, it I love Mark. Nothing to take away from you. Sunday Night Geekery is awesome. Second
Yeah.
favorite thing that Clobby did. The Clubhouse, what a great concept. Saturday Night Star Trek. I think if you ask just the outside looking in kind of guy, they would say, "Oh, that's the flagship show."
Yes.
Wild Card Wednesday was fun, but that Monday night Mark C Comics was just really where Clobby shined, and that's where I first noticed this about him. And I'm kind of like building on what 70 said there, which was he had that way. Like if you brought something up in chat, he could stop and have a full blown. I mean, like multiple like sins, right? And text to him, and you could have a conversation with him, and he would trust what you were saying. And hey, I might not agree with you, buddy, but and he could
That's
do
what
that.
you'd say. Yeah.
But not only would he be having that conversation, nobody else felt left out. You know what I mean? Because you were like fascinated. You wanted to hear what he had to say. You wanted to see what the guy in chat was saying back to him. And it very rarely did it end on anything but hey, I'm glad you like that. I'm glad we agree. Or hey, I'm sorry we don't agree, dude. But we're not going to agree on everything. And you just and he would move on. But how he could make people feel like there's 100 people in chat, but he's talking to you.
Yeah, that's what drew me to him too in the beginning. And hail to Loki and Loki. I'm going to shoot you the link. And his Clobberin Times always like, "Come on if you can. No pressure, no pressure." And in the beginning, he would ask me that. And I'm like, "Are you kidding? You know how much I would love to be on your show just for a few minutes, you know?" And then after a while, we're joking. He's like, just don't even ask anymore. Just come in. And of course, when he had Nerdrotic or a special show with a planned guest, of course, and I would never. I'm like, can I pop on when at the end of when Gary, and of course he would always offer first, but it's his show, and I knew that's why people were watching, Clobberin Times. It wasn't because of me. I think we made a good team, but he was the guy. He's the guy that remembered everything, knew everything, had that great personality and crap.
Yeah, the perfect mix of personality and knowledge.
Yeah.
Just I mean, every show was interesting. I could sit and listen to the Star Trek shows you guys did. I just sat and listened to the whole show. Sometimes didn't even bother to chat in the chat because I was just so enjoying it. I just wanted to sit and listen to it. It was just so full of information and knowledge, but not dry. Never presented dry. Always with a lot of personality. Clobby, I mean, you guys, you and Raquel are great too. Don't get me wrong, but Clobby just had something indefinable in his personality. Yeah, you just want to listen to him.
Yeah, he was special. It's like I thank you everyone for being here, and this ended up being basically another Clobberin Times show. And I'm not saying that to be but that's the way it was. It was like I started doing the show, but he was always here, and it was almost a continuation. But the joke was, I said he's like, you're my sidekick on whenever you're on my channel, but I'm your sidekick here, and we would defer to each other. And I did lead the subjects, and when it's your channel, you guys that have channels know that you kind of try to guide the show. And Nick Weiser on Toxic Tuesday, he's the MC there, and he guides us and does a great job. And you just defer to the channel person, and when you're good, quote unquote, a good.
Wish I could get my panelists to listen to
that. hey, Mark, I think Clobby would appreciate this, dude. When you were on Clobby's channel, you guys were Cisco and Poncho, and when he was here, you were Ponch and he was John, dude. That's both very equal guys, but serving a different purpose, but fast friends, dude. We had each other's backs.
If I could just cut it for a second, I think I finally got the munchkin to sleep. Mark, you said something about how you don't want to turn this into a complete show about Clobby, but I think that people who are meeting online, we don't have those opportunities to like hug each other and to talk about, personal experiences and whatever. So I think this is very, for lack of a better word, cathartic for a lot of people, and something that I think not many people know. I think Mike's family needs to see this, to see how much love there is, because they don't view him the same way that, all of you guys do. I mean, I've seen a lot of you guys just break down and crying, and you've never met him in person. I think for his mom, his dad, he still has one grandmother that's alive, I believe. He's got uncles. I think for them to be able to watch these things, maybe watch them over and over again, I think that's really going to mean a lot to them. I know it's going to mean a lot to me.
Thank you for that, Steve. And Tom, the great Tom Connors, has just popped in. Thank you, Tom, for being here.
Hail, Tom. Welcome, sir.
Hi, Tom.
So thank you. Yeah, we're just obviously, can't have the first Sunday Night Geekery without spending a lot of time talking about. I don't even know if we're ever going to get to any other great stuff like the Acolyte, things like that. Which seems
you just say great stuff?
Great stuff.
I needed to get needed to get a laugh.
We need to think up a word for it, like Clobby would. The ache at night or something. I can't do it because I'm
Crapolite.
Crapolite's good, Brian. I was thinking that. Good for you.
That would be a Clobby.
Yes, that's true. Anything involving excrement, good chance. Yeah.
You guys can talk about that. I'm sitting here enjoying these peanut M&Ms in honor of Clobberin.
Times.
There we go. Thinking, I don't want Steve hugging me with those guns. He'd crush me.
Yeah.
I'm
with you there.
So Mike, so I'm a shadow of my former self. 10 years ago, I was 3 times this big.
I wish I was a shadow of my former self too. Sorry.
Mike did the funniest thing, because Mike was a big guy. He was over 500 pounds. He's 6'2", or maybe a hair over that. And every time we would shake hands, he would jump up and down as if I was that strong that I was like, the guy was hysterical. He really, really was. And the other thing that not a lot of people know is Mike could also quote not just the stuff that everybody's thinking of. He could quote MASH from episode 1 all the way until the end. One of his favorite shows of all time was Briscoe County Jr., which I've never seen. And there was a TV Hulk, one of those Return of the Hulk things, where Eric Kramer, the guy who also played Little John in Robin Hood Men in Tights, he plays Thor. And, the reporter that follows Jack McGee that always follows the Hulk around, well, he knocks on the door, and David Banner saw him, through the window and said, "Oh my God." And then they cut to, he opens the door and says, he's a big hulking guy, and he says, "What is it that you knock on my door with such insolence?" And, and he was scared off the Jack Colvin character. If Clobby didn't answer the door with, from Superman, "Be a pet and mail this for me, will you?" Then it was, "What do you knock on my door with such insolence?" So that guy, if it was anything about movies, TV, I mean, it's more than just Star Trek. Comic books.
Very well rounded.
Deep knowledge.
Yeah, him and I spoke the same language. That's for sure. I mean, I'm sure you guys know what I mean. When you're a geek like that and you speak that language, you love it when people quote stuff and you get it. And he was always one of those, like, you're right, always throwing a quote out there. And he was really disappointed if he didn't always get it, but yeah.
Tom, I love you're saying that, because I was just telling Mark earlier today, my dad loved the Rockford Files, and Clobby loved the Rockford Files. And when my dad passed, it was like, God, I don't have anybody to talk to about who watches the Rockford Files. I mean, it wasn't even, I think it had ended its first run.
You remember the quote.
I watched it at the time. I was young enough old enough to watch it. Yeah.
Watching it with my dad, and I would sneak something in from Magnum PI or maybe even Miami Vice, And Clobby would be like, yeah, I saw what you did there. I caught that. Yeah. I did the famous, did you see the sunrise this morning thing? And I just kind of set it off. Maybe it was to Courtney or somebody. And Clobby goes, yeah, Magnum. I was like, wow. I really thought I'd get that one by him. And
Nope.
Tom, before you hopped on, I said a lot of nice things about a lot of people, and you were one of them. And this is something else I told Mark today, and I just thought it was very apropos. I wanted to say this to you. Somebody one time DM'd me and said, dude, you must hate Tom Connors. And I'm like, wow, why would you say that? No, I love Tom. I watch him on all the time in the mornings. And they go, well, man, on Sunday nights, whenever Tom comes on, you just shut up. You don't say anything. And I said, yeah, you're right. I don't. I said, but you know why? It's because I'm just sitting there listening to Tom and Cloppy go on. And it's like, I'm watching like, a meeting of off a round table, man. I just want to hear what they're saying. I don't bring anything, what did I say, Mark? It's like having 2 Michelin star chefs cook. What am I going to do? Push my way up to the counter to start making mashed potatoes? I want to hear what these guys are saying, man. And watching you 2 guys riff, dude, it was beautiful, man. You 2 guys talking about stuff, I could listen to it all day.
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna miss him.
great stuff. Yeah. And I know, and I was away at a wedding for some very good friends. 2 actual, it was friends of the family. And they're 2 United States Air Force Academy grads out in Colorado, and actually it was good for me to get out because I'm still, of course, obviously bummed out, but just to get out into that celebration and kind of just got me out of the house because I know I wouldn't have gone anywhere this weekend. I would have just stayed at home, moping around, which isn't a bad thing to do either. But it kind of at least got me out when, of course, I wouldn't have. And it was great to see, young couple together and starting their lives, and they're good friends of, family's good friends of ours. So that did kind of help me, of course, help me a little bit combined with everyone, and a lot of messages. Loki had called, Tom had called, Pat asked, all of you guys have been leaving messages in Twitter, or been talking in person. Got a lot of cell phones now, so I'm going to be bothering you all down the road. But I got your cell phone number now. I guess you can still block a cell phone number. But no, it's been a huge help to talk to everyone, because really that's how we all share our appreciation for Clobberin Times together. And like I say, unless you're in our circle, in our group, but like I keep mentioning, my much better half, trying to explain to her how important Mike is, and she knew that we're good friends, but she's never listened to a show or listened to me on she doesn't know anything about geek or nerd stuff. Or we started watching Star Wars tonight. It's for Father's Day, and it's my birthday in 1 minute, and the kid said, all right, Dad, we'll actually watch Star Wars with you tonight, because I always try to watch we're not going to watch Star Wars with you again. And so they watched for as Clobberin Times would say, Star Wars with just Star Wars, no Bloody New Hope, no Episode 4, just Star Wars. And of course Loki has joined us, so hail to the great Stone Cold Loki.
Hey, how are you guys doing tonight?
Hanging in there.
Loki,
yeah. We're still sad, brother, but we're doing it.
Loki, I don't think you know. I don't think you know me. I'm a personal friend of Mike's since like '82, and I told Tom this the other night, but you and Tom were 2 of the people that he really just had up on a pedestal. Like he thought that he was lucky that you guys would even have him on. So
no, we were so lucky, man. That's the thing, man. Just like if you go back to Clobby's very first, and Six passed this on to me. I think it was his very first live stream on YouTube. He mentions my wife. He kind of got me and her talking in the beginning. So, I mean, kind of, if it wasn't for Clobby, I might not even like spoken to her when I did. That led to us eventually, meeting each other and moving in together and getting married, I kind of owe that to Clobby. It's Clobby and Mexican Iron Man are the reasons why, you know, I'm in a very good place now. It's us that are honored to have Clobby in our lives. And just that when me and Mike were coming up with this idea to do this crazy live stream about this DC fandom thing, my first thought was, we got to get this guy Clobberin Times on. And Mike was like, you know Clobby? I was like, yeah, I know Clobby. You know, me and him have talked. And I signed up to this weird service just to talk to him because he wasn't even on YouTube then. He was on that
radio.
Yeah.
BR, yeah.
That BR. And I had to like sign up and email and all that crap just to talk in his chat. But if it wasn't for, I barely knew Eris then, and I just happened to see a tweet that, hey, I'm on this guy's live stream, and I wasn't doing anything, and I checked it out, and I was like, this guy knows his shit. This guy really knows his stuff. This guy knows what he's talking about. And it was just, it was fate. It was fate that put me in contact with Clobby, and man, I loved doing the roundtable with him every Wednesday night. I loved when we got to do, there were still DC movies we hadn't covered, and we kept saying, you know, we were going to do that. Okay, we're going to finish these DC animated movies. And we never finished it. We did a lot of them, and we were going back and forth on like my channel and his channel to do it, but we never finished it. I think the next one we were going to do was that last animated DC movie that came out. It was like part 2 of Crisis on Infinite Earths or whatever, and we never ended up.
Y'all did tons though, brother. Y'all were like really wondering which ones were left that were working. You know, you were. And guys, too, if you ever want to go back and really hear Clobby at his best with the sci-fi stuff, y'all did all 3 seasons, or at least the first 3, or however that worked, of Orville on Friday mornings. Those were hysterical, dude, because Clobby took no prisoners, right? I mean, everybody's like, didn't. This was like good. I enjoyed this part. It's garbage.
Absolute garbage. I don't understand why you like it. You know, I heard Jonathan talking the other night about, you know, he said, I love this guy, but I can't believe he likes this. And I'm like, that's me. I know that's me. I'm one of those people, because there was stuff I liked that he was like, oh, you like Death of Superman? Why do you like Death of Superman? That's the crappiest comic book that ever came out ever. And you know,
he could say it in such a way though, without making it personally.
Yeah,
like he wasn't attacking you personally.
Yeah, he was like, I understand. You read it when you were a kid. It's okay. And I'm like, thanks, Clobby. I love you too, brother.
You guys got to understand. This stuff was very emotional for Mike. Who now, the word's out, his real first name is Glenn. He hated that.
I just learned that. that.
When I got to the hospital to see him, I said Mike Alonso, and they're like, we don't have a Mike Alonso. I'm like, bull crap. I just talked to his guy. I said, well, I just talked to his son, and he's supposed to be in room, you know, what room he was in. And he goes, that's Glenn Alonso. I'm like, what? What?
That name, but for him, this stuff was, and I think I'm okay to say this now, but you know, Mike, like a lot of us nerds, you know, got bullied a lot, you know, because I was a fat kid, and Clobby struggled with his weight all of his life, and so I think that for him, this stuff was emotional. I think it was his world that he can escape to, where, you know, the good guys, you know, the strong people stand up for the weak people and don't victimize them. And
you know, I think that
good does win.
But I think it transcends just the comics and the nerd stuff. It goes into the world of sports, an avenue that I was fortunate to get in the last year or so. Time to him to get back into the NFL and other stuff. His knowledge of the NFL, the Hall of Fame, we did a special on it. Just incredible. The way he could remember announcers' names, all the NFL films, all the other stuff. His passion for the Saints, the hatred for the Falcons. I mean, everything he did, you could hear that passion that comes through. And I was blessed that he gave me the playoff run, and then the year before, and then this last year we had him on some of the playoff shows. to have his experience, have his knowledge, but he came at it with as much passion as he does for all the nerds and geek stuff in the comics. It just, and his ability to recall all those details was just fascinating, and just a passion. You don't see people like that really are as invested and involved, or as wide expansive arrangements. I mean, we're talking about from the comics to the movies to the culture to the sport. I mean, we were always making people mad because we were talking sports ball, but it was an area he did have passion for.
He did. He played high school football, but the point I was driving at was the stuff is more emotional for him than it is for like me. Some of you know that I'm an artist. I'm an animator, actually. That's what I do for a living. And early on, I would criticize Jack Kirby because even though, let me get this out front before Loki and Tom, shoot me. I do think he was the greatest comic book creator of all time. But I had some problems with his art. He never learned how to draw legs. He would do squiggly lines and blocky knees and fists. And if you look at him sideways, we're like this. Clobby went off on me. This is in the 80s.
Fighting words.
Yeah, this was in the 80s. And then at some point I realized that what I'm doing, it would be like me insulting one of your family members. It wasn't, anybody who's been to art school, you criticize your own work, you criticize other people's work. That's how you get better. You analyze, find the weaknesses, and overcome them. But for Mike, it was like saying, hey man, your mother was insert a childish insult there. So it was I think this is the reason why he knows so much about this stuff. It was a world where he could get into, and everything worked out in the end. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, the good guys win. The good guys win, right?
Yeah. And one of the things he hated about modern comics, and Loki and Tom, you guys could probably speak to this a lot better than I can. But I'm always seeing, and I stopped buying comics after Clobby's shop closed. 1 or 2 trade backs here and there, maybe. But one of the things that Clobby really hated was good guys against good guys. And I'm always seeing on YouTube, Wolverine kills the Avengers, or the Hulk kills the Earth, or all this. He hated that because he thought the good guys, as I do, should fight the bad guys.
No, absolutely.
We honor that. Yeah, certainly Loki and Tom could say that because there were so many debates. He hated that gray stuff too. He didn't like the blurring of the lines. And why isn't the hero? Like the Joker movie. Oh God, right, Steve? He hated that.
Yeah, he did.
The twisting of Superman. The twisting of Superman, turning him evil. He didn't care if it was another dimension or not. He didn't care if it was a different world. He didn't, when they were taking heroes and twisting them and turning them bad, even stuff like The Boys, he didn't like because even though it's not Superman, it's someone named Homelander, you get the idea that it is supposed to be kind of like Superman, and it is someone that's supposed to be good and righteous and upholding those values, that is actually twisting them and murdering people. He hated that. He absolutely freaking hated that. And I liked the what's the DC run where you've got all the alternate stuff, like Superman's bad and Batman's leading.
Elseworlds.
The stuff like that. I like that stuff, and I collected it for a while. And I was like, well, it's a different dimension. And we get into, that talk. But he never approved of any of that. Good guys need to be the good guys, and the bad guys need to be the bad guys. And if you can't do the good guy right, don't do it at all. And any kind of stupidity, weed it out. Absolutely weed it out.
For sure.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, I did, like Dark Knight Returns. I always said how much I loved it, but it became too popular. So it was an Elseworlds thing. It was great and fantastic and a beautiful work of art and story. Some of my favorite stuff, but it was so good. Part of the problem that it had so much influence on other comic books. So it almost corrupted like an infection other comic books. So that was, a tribute to Miller in one way, but also it was bad in another way, because then everything became dark and depressing. And Batman '89 was considered on the dark side, of course, contrasting with that Batman '66 show that Clobberin Times grew up on, and his first word was Batman, and I grew up loving that show and watching that show. And so there's a happy medium in there too, I think, where Batman is by his nature a darker character, but it always doesn't have to be lights out, scary and dark and depressing. He does have that great character, but he's, in terms of fighting the bad guys, but he also has got some humanity to him. He's not a robot. He's not a machine. So
Hail Claude Parrish.
Hail to Claude. Yep, and Claude, if you did feel like popping in, I can get you the link too.
If anybody doesn't know, Claude, so Clobby was my best friend, but I think Clobby would say his best friend and oldest friend, I believe, is Claude. So he knows him more than anyone. And Claude, yeah, like you said, Clobby was happiest when he met Jack Kirby. Be like meeting, well, Jack Kirby, I guess.
Right, yeah, well, it's his hero, right? So it's here. And Sean, yeah, thank you so much. But any super chats I'm going to put towards the GoFundMe. But thank you so much for that. But one of the hardest things I found is seeing familiar names. I can hear Clobby as clear as day, how he had a special way to say everyone's name. He made us all feel special, and he made me feel damn special. Like, why does this guy want to hang out with me? I'm just a boring comic book nerd who shares a love of Benjamin J. Grimm, but it was just so much fun to be with him. And it's hard to believe, boom, it's gone, and it's gone in an instant. I mean, as horrible as certain diseases are, cancer, I did get a chance to say goodbye to my dad and loved ones. We've had that opportunity, but to be boom gone like that, I mean, I never told the guy I loved him. I mean, I did, but of course, us macho guys are never gonna say that. But a couple times I almost Cal, God bless her, with her it's easier, I shouldn't say easier, but a lady can kind of oh, love you, of course once in a while I can get away with I love you, man, but it's okay to say that, and maybe with a little bit of insecurity there, but we did all appreciate him here on this panel, everyone in the chat, and that's why you've got this huge outpouring, because he touched so many people.
Well, Mark, like you said, getting to know him on this panel, this is the first time I got exposed to him, and coming up and starting the streaming, it was intimidating trying to especially something like the football talk, and he was there, did not bat an eye. He was like that, and anytime he would make time. And actually last year, I think with Loki's comic book, he carved out an hour between streams just to make it for us.
Yep.
And that's the kind of guy he was. I mean, he's like, I got to finish with Loki, and then I'll get you, because he had another one right after it. But that's the kind of guy Mike was. He'd support anybody as their friends, and it really was meaningful in this day and age that having such a guy like that would help the little guys too, as well as be a good asset for the bigger channels. And
Devin, you were such like a respectful fan of his. It was so funny, like watching you. I'm not belittling you, dude. I get a kick out of it because you're such a humble guy, and Clobby's such an easygoing guy. And I remember you and I one time talking. You're like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna go ahead and ask Clobby tonight and see if he wants to come on my show." And you were so nervous he might say no, dude. And he was just like, "Yeah, totally, bud. Let me know what time. We'll work it out. We'll make it work."
Exactly, just like that. It was like that. Boom, boom. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's how, folks, y'all don't see that stuff behind the scenes, but that's where you really know where people are real, and what you saw publicly is what you saw behind the streams.
Clobby.
Kill Courtney.
Yeah, I just want to say, Courtney's usually on with us on Sunday Night Geekery whenever she can be here. So she's saying she's sorry she can't be here tonight. No problem, Courtney, and much love to everyone in the chat. So hopefully we'll catch you the next Geekery or the next time we stream. But thank you, Courtney, for being such a good friend and supporter and friend of Clobberin Times. He loved hanging out with you, and he always loved Courtney and loves chatting with you and hanging out with you too. So thank you, Courtney.
Hey, could I ask Tom, how did you get to know Clobby or Mike?
I have been trying to figure out where it was I met him. It was so long ago, and it feels like so many avenues led to him. And I guess the best I can come up with is, I believe, Pablo from the Friday night show had told me that Clobby they were going to do something, I think, on Conan at one point. So those guys had wanted one of us from Midnight's Edge to come on over, and I think that's how it started. And Pablo's been looking for that episode. But I mean, I knew Clobby for a while because I've had him at least for the last 3 or so years on Mead, close to it. And I mean, I used to pop on anytime I'd come in the chat. He was always, of course, one of those guys, and you guys know what I mean. Like, hey, Tom, come on in. I'll send you a link. You don't have to if you can't. And Mark, you do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so Sunday nights would definitely become one of my, not all the time, but I'd pop in here quite often. And that's, a lot of times my decompression place. Because I could come in here and not have to worry about too much of the other stuff. And especially if I come in after you guys were done talking about whatever it was, Doctor Who or whatever that week, you know what I mean? And we just talk about geeky stuff, like Pat was saying before, just, Clobby and I and Mark or whoever was here would just geek out about whatever. And Brian would usually pop in eventually. And it just kind of felt like a bar, you know what I mean? Like you just walk in and your buddy's there.
Where everybody knows
Clobby's the bartender / your bud, it just, or Mark on Sunday nights. And, that's what it always felt like, right? Especially like when you guys would pull me in on like Friday nights and I'd pull out everything and he'd know every single comic I'd pull out. He'd say the year it came out, halftime he'd know who the artists were and everything. Just like
always
you guys
know the artists.
Or he'd know him whether he'd say it or not, but
And hail the retro nerd girl.
Impress you with how much he knew just about everything. So yeah, and hi, nice to meet you.
Clop. Hey, Retro, great to see you, beautiful.
Oh, same here.
Not the beautiful part though. Clobby can only tell you who drew it, but who inked it. And there were times when
the whole business.
When he said, I think this one was drawn by this guy, inked by this guy halfway through, and then another guy inked him. He was that level of,
But what was great was he would say, like I have my comic book database, right? And I think I've read about 20,000 comic books in my lifetime, right? And Mike probably rookie probably like 60,000 or 80,000. And sometimes the database, he's like, would have, say like, like an artist, that's whatever artist it was, and Mike's like, I think that's wrong. I think that's this is the artist. I think that's
You sure you wouldn't say it like, no, that's wrong?
Yeah,
he wouldn't sugarcoat it.
He wouldn't sugarcoat it, but it was amazing. It'd be like, that's him. That's he's like, that's right. The thing, it's because then sometimes I grab the comic. And I'd see that was a mistake, and then you could correct it in the database. But it was just he just knew everything, and he was never wrong too. Like sometimes I'd correct him, but he would like, I think, you sure about that? And then I'd look it up, and I was like, darn it, he was right.
Mark, remember when he and Steve? Yeah. Remember when he and Steve did the whole thing when you were showing the Eternals comic, and Steve and he were explaining to you, and because I'm like, why the color would change on their outfits, and they went through the whole Steve, do you remember that? Do you remember that night? And you guys like explained it, saying Clobby was like, oh well, the reason I can't even remember what it was, but it was just like, wow, that's fast. That makes a ton of sense because their outfits would change colors through the thing, and it was like, well, you got to remember it was drawn, but the guy who did the.
We did talk about, and probably everybody knows this except for maybe Retro. Everybody knows, like certainly Loki and Tom know that the Hulk started out as gray. And then he turned green. He turned green, and Stan Lee's
because of the ink thing.
Yeah. That's the reason they had to change the color. But Stan Lee's thing about, oh, I just said, what color is nobody using? Green. Let's go with green. I don't believe it. And I'll tell you why. If you just Google villain colors, especially with Disney, purple, green, and black are the three main ones. And the Hulk was originally kind of a villain. You remember in the end of the first or second issue, originally the Hulk was the Hulk at nighttime, and he was Banner during the day before they came up with the anger thing. And there's the end of, I think, the second issue where Hulk goes, only you know, and he's about to kill Rick Jones. That's his best friend, Retro, because I know you're not into comics that much. And then the sun, comes up. But I don't think the purple and green color combination was just chance. I think that was Jack Kirby with his art training, and I remember that discussion. But
thank you. I just want to say, RNT said, thank you for the super chat, but all super chats tonight will be going towards the GoFundMe. So if you can, I appreciate it, but please, super chat, or don't use the super chat. Use the link that's there. And actually, something you can do too. You can actually do a super thanks these days on any of Clobberin Times' old videos. And money is tight, and I know that it's not easy. You don't have to donate. Never ask for that, but you can actually go back to any of those old streams, and you click that super thanks, and you can actually tip on an old stream. So that's another way to donate towards Clobberin Times as well. So I just want to get that out there. And thank you for being here, Retro. And we've all been talking about how we've met Mike Clobberin Times the first time. Do you remember, how you met him the first time, or just stumbled across the stream, maybe kind of like I did? Or
I think the way it happened was I was in the chat and kind of bumped into like a gaggle of new channels that I wanted to kind of look at, because I was just curious as to like new channels and what they were up to. And I was listening one night, and that they were going over Star Wars. Not Star Wars, sorry, Star Trek. And it was you and Raquel, along with Clobby, just going over one of the episodes, and one that I had like kind of vaguely remembered, and I was like, oh my god, these guys are so cool. They're going over this episode that I loved, and I left a couple of comments, and it was very interesting because I made your acquaintance first, I think, because you had me on your channel.
Maybe?
Yeah. You and you asked me to come on the show one time, and I was like, okay, yeah, why not? I'm really, I really dig hanging out, and as customary though, whenever you're in the chat, one of Clobby's live streams, will call you out and say your name, and somehow they knew my channel and said, hey, hi, your channel's really awesome. And I was like, oh, cool, they watch my channel. And there was just this mutual like kind of friendship that was going on there. So I would always, like, on occasion, stop by the channel and just listen to all of the different stories about not just comic books, and learn a lot about comic books, but also learn a lot about Star Trek that I had no idea of. I thought I was a fan, but when I watched the show, I was like, oh wow, it's a whole nother ball game. These guys are serious about Star Trek.
Yeah.
And it was just great. One of the stories that I've been telling everyone, as far as connected to Clobby in particular, who I kind of miss. I can hear his voice, so sometimes I'm like, oh, his voice. Was this New Year's Eve that just passed? I did a show, and I think it went on for a ridiculously long time, and afterwards.
I've never done really long live streams. I gotta break into Retro Nerd Girl's first live stream. I think wasn't it 8 hours or something? Or was
It was
I
almost,
was
yeah, it was
there.
like
Wow.
Was it
7
like
plus hours.
you were so nervous about doing your first live stream, like I'm sure all of us YouTubers were, and I was shaking in my boots that first time,
Oh,
and I
yeah,
think
yeah.
you had so much fun by the end. You never ended. Yeah,
I didn't want it to end.
you want to end it. Yeah.
And yeah, well, and that New Year's Eve that just passed, I was done with my my stream, and I said, okay, I wonder who else is streaming right now, and I went and I checked out to see that Clobby was streaming, and I was just hanging out in the chat, and I got a message on X saying, hey, you want to join, from Mark, and I was like, yeah. So we hung out for, I don't know, what was it, like 2 more hours, and then after the show was done, we hung out behind in the after party, if you will, for another like hour or so, and it was just great talking with Clobby and Mark, and we were just hanging out. It was great. Just love those two. So so we really, a little bit. I have a great memory there, and some other memories of of being asked to come on the show during a time, I think Marco was taking a break and doing just another body in the room, and it was such a pleasure talking retro stuff with them, and Bobby was always so very sweet and gentlemanly and kind and just wonderful. So he's going to be missed so dearly, and I have to say that I was a little devastated to hear what happened, but also I see how the community is just rallying together and comforting each other, and that means so much. So I'm watching all of these videos, and I put together like a little playlist of anyone who wants to remember these sort of memorials, and also Clobby. It just was kind of it makes me like truly appreciate the people that are in my life right now. Um, it makes me definitely appreciate you, Mark.
Thank you.
and,
Thank you. Yeah.
and Maddie's daddy, and all the people that I do know in real life, and the people that I know on YouTube, Dad Man Walking 55. So it really means a lot to me, to from the outside kind of looking in, to see all of you guys really rallying together and telling your stories and talking about him. And this is a wonderful way to keep his memory alive, and to continue the legacy of friendship, and just the wonderful energy that he had, and it's just something that I'm looking at from afar, but admiring and loving.
That reminded me, her remarks reminded me of one thing, and I'm going to slide out, Mark, is that the famous clip, the famous clip that he loved forever, that he wouldn't play on his channel at first, but one of our first early day Fortnites, the GD at Mark clip.
Yeah, well, we got to play it. You're on your way out. So
yeah, he always laughed and loved about it, and he's like, "Damn man, where do you take that from him? Why do you take it from him?" And it was like Mark with that evil laugh. He was like, always loved that, and he finally started playing it more. I think he finally on his channel too.
I think what happened, we run out of room sometimes with all the clips, so with all everything. So, but here we'll play this. And my mischievous laugh, I guess, in the background. I guess that's what got him, because
it's priceless.
Quote a nice guy, right? But
never that way.
God damn it, Mark! Jeez.
Yes. And we got the one season where he played with us in the tanks. Yeah.
he did play a few games with us, and Retro, that was a great idea. And Steve Mitchum had mentioned that, and I'd actually started making a list of all the tribute streams. And I know Loki had a nice tribute that I didn't get to finish listening to, and I know Tom did. But maybe I'll put a Google Doc in our Sunday night Geekery chat, and we can all add some URLs to that. And I'll put a link, not a link, but a playlist on Clobberin Times channel. To those tribute streams. And that's a great idea. Thank you, Steve and Retro, for that idea. And I was kind of thinking the same thing too, because you can go back and maybe the family the family doesn't know everyone, so on YouTube, so maybe they might miss that, so they would maybe appreciate that, because I know there've been a ton of tribute streams out there. Hey, we've got a Canadian Spider-Man swinging in who can do whatever a Canadian Spider-Man can.
Hey.
Yep.
Thanks for having me so much. I really, truly appreciate you sending me the link. Thanks so much, Mark.
Glad you're here. Yeah, and I was one of the things I wanted to do with you, and we're gonna do it. Damn it! But I'd gotten the care package from Ari. And I've got Gil's challenge coin, which you so generously get. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I would love. You feel guilty to ask for things, but I'd love to have that. And I won the, they had to spin the wheel, and I was fortunate enough to, I guess you say win. I don't know what the right word is.
Yes.
Or
Thanks for participating.
Thank you. Yeah. And
Mark, if I could, before, because I know people have to have limited time, I would also like to, if it's okay with you, hear how Stone Loki met Clobby.
Sure, yeah.
And also 70s and Canadian. Hey, Steve.
Hello. Hi, Maddie's daddy. Hi.
If I may call you. If I may call you.
No, you can call me Steve, because it works, because that way we won't forget, because
Steve.
And yeah, absolutely. Okay. Call me anything. I don't get offended ever.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
And we have another Steve in the chat, but I'm not singing the song. That's Raquel's thing, singing the.
I love it when she does that.
Yeah.
That was one of the fun memories of his streams. Honestly, Mark. Yeah, that was one of my fondest memories of Clobby's streams. And man, I miss him.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
Mark, hold the challenge coin up real quick before Loki answers the question that Steve asked, which I want to hear the answer to too. I just have to say, in Canadian Spider-Man, will get this in a second. Guys, if you really want to see Clobby at his best, and if you loved Cardinal Sin, and you want to see him and Gil, not the one that Mark did, where I got deathly ill and thought I was going to die and had to go to the hospital myself this past New Year's, but the New Year's before that, where it was Cardinal Sin and Clobby, and they went for like 5 or 6 hours, and Gil's just going on and on about new Battlestar Galactica, and he's trying to convince Clobby to watch it. Clobby wants no part of it, and they're going back and forth. And then, but of course, they go back to being friends. But just watching those two guys, and I'm in chat, guys, and I'm like loving it. I'm goading it on. Yeah.
Let's see if I can get this to.
Yeah, that's a great challenge going.
You'll do great on that. Come on, focus, McQueen. Very high quality. And then here's the back. I love the back too. The back is awesome.
Ari is
great
so
design. And Gil, I'm assuming Gil did this. Yeah. So.
Yes, he did.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So it's a great design, great graphics, and it's.
That's right.
So it says, if you can't read that, it says. No, I got my long distance glasses on. I don't have my reading glasses. It says. Leave the mainstream and enter into the fringe. So I gotta get new glasses. But thank you for getting that sentiment. And Sean Carter said, when you're over. Thank you for that sentiment. That it's very well said. Those are the words I was looking for. So appreciate that. So, Loki, do you remember how you met our buddy Mike? Or
So like I said earlier, I just how's it going, Canadian Spider-Man, dude? How are you doing?
Fantastic. Excited to be here with you.
Heck yeah, brother. Heck yeah. Eris had just sent out a tweet. I didn't really know Eris, but I knew her enough from Doomcock. So Eris sent out a tweet that she was going to be on his radio broadcast on the RB, the whatever it was, and I hopped in and listened. Eventually, I really wanted Clobby to come on and do YouTube, and he came on and guested one day, and I was like, you should really think about doing YouTube. He's like, no. And his kids were telling him the same thing, and I had no idea about that. They told me that when I went to see Clobby at the hospital, that they had been bugging him for years to do YouTube. No. He liked his radio thing, and he liked the way he got to do it. And we invited him, me and Mexican Iron Man invited him to do DC Fandom event. And that was the biggest, I think that's the biggest live stream we ever did, because we had like 1,000 people in there watching the broadcast. You can't do stuff like that anymore because you get copyrighted so bad. But we got away with it that first year we were doing it. And eventually, after I moved back to Texas, me and my wife, we went and saw him. We met at Twin Peaks, of course, and had lunch at Twin Peaks, and took him an art book, a Jack Kirby art book, and this thing was like huge, man.
Friend for life.
Yeah,
instant friend for life.
But
I'm surprised he didn't propose to you.
What caught me was all the ladies, all the girls at Twin Peaks were all over Clobby. And Clobby would bat his eyelashes like Bashful in Snow White and the Seven Doors. You just look up at him and, oh, shucks, look at me. Look. And they just melted like butter all over him. And it was just it was the coolest thing to see my buddy in a totally different light. Because I didn't think of him like that. We'd get on, we'd do our stuff. He was nice to everybody. But he was never like, Casanova, Mr. Swab. But he would go in there, man, and those girls would be just falling all over Clobby. Like he was the Don Juan of Twin Peaks.
And not just at Twin Peaks, too. I mean, in his real life, like, we'd go do stuff, and he'd be like, "Oh, this is my friend. I won't mention any names here, but holy cow!" I mean, like, just wow. Well, I've been fortunate. I've dated some beautiful women in my life, but there are some women who are good friends with him. That was just like doing the old cartoon, where the jaw drops down, the eyes come out of their sockets,
The heart's beating out of their chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had that effect on everyone.
I like how Steve's playing like he doesn't even Tex Avery is.
Yeah, Tex Avery, exactly. Yeah. Retro took off her camera because she's rolling her eyes so hard right now.
But one show I've got to watch is Briscoe County. So that's another fun memory with Clobberin Times. Of course, I've always mentioned the great series Stargirl, and Phantom Outsider always tries to support me. And I think he told Claude one time too. He's like, "Well, I've heard it's not so bad, but maybe I can't watch it." He's like, "Why?" Because if I watch it, they win.
It was the guy from Spider-Man, the announcer. The guy says the Amazing Spider. He was in all the Spider-Man, first Spider-Man. Wow, I can't think of his name. That played Briscoe, and his sidekick was played by the guy that played Shonuff the Shogun in The Last Dragon. Does anybody know this? Does anybody?
No.
Tom, Loki, you guys know what I'm talking about?
Bruce Campbell?
Bruce Campbell.
I was going to say Bruce Campbell was,
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell's Briscoe, and the guy that played Shonuff Shogun. If anybody has seen The Last Dragon.
Briscoe, Bowler, I hope to see you in action again soon.
Count on it. Well, maybe after a brief hiatus.
Wow.
That's the guy. And
Played that clip. Mike loved that show, and that was
loved
that show.
He
did. Alias Smith and Jones. That was another one.
Oh,
the good news, if you want to go back and watch all the stuff Clobby loved, he was such a highbrow, intellectual type of guy that most of the stuff he loved was only on for one season, right? I mean, he loved Firefly, one season, Kolchak, which made no sense, right? Because if you know anything about the history of Kolchak, and if you don't, it's out there. Clobby talked about it. Those TV movies were powerhouses. I mean, they had rating, and everyone was like, "Wow, we'll do a season of it," and everyone just thought it would be this most successful season, and it didn't do great. But anything he really liked like that was American television was usually only a season long. It just didn't quite catch hold with everybody because I think it was just kind of just too geeky, for the normal audience out there.
You could mention some obscure actor or actress. He'd say, "Oh yeah, they were in that show in 1975, and it was whatever." He would know.
Yeah, he would know all that. Yeah,
without YouTube, without Google.
Yeah, he just off the top of his head. "Oh yeah, one season it was on NBC. It was whatever." He'd do it all.
70s. He's friends with it. And I guess one of us guys is going to have to figure out, maybe because I'm in Louisiana, we'll have to tell him. But Clobby was not just he knew, he was friends with and had been to the ranch of one of the Dukes. What's the blonde guy? Mark, is that John?
Schneider,
yeah. He knows the man. He knows him. He's seen him many times.
I don't know if Claude is still in the chat, but he knows him as well.
We were supposed to all meet up there. We had a plan to all meet up there. We Clobby, 24, basically everybody that was on the round table, we were going to meet up there last year. And something happened with Clobby and something happened with me. I don't remember what it was, but neither of us were going to be able to do it. And we were like, "Oh, well, we'll do it next year." Guys, don't put stuff off like that.
Yeah.
Don't just try and do it and do it the best you can. And because you don't know how much time you got. You really don't.
Good lesson.
Yep.
It's true.
Yeah, that's why that Briscoe County, that clip was so painful to him too. He asked me to clip it, but he's like, "Oh, this is just such a painful one." And that was actually how I ended the Monday night show, because a brief hiatus. Who knows how long we have or when we'll be back. And that was Briscoe County. I think they knew they were probably getting canceled if Clobberin Times was here.
Yeah, because the show was one of those shows where ratings wise it did okay, not great, but it was Fox when they were still pretty young, and they didn't want to spend the kind of money on the show that it was going to cost. Wasn't Sam Raimi also involved with that too, if I remember right?
Thank you,
Wouldn't
Claude.
surprise me if he was.
I wouldn't be surprised, Tom. They were involved in everything together.
Mike
But
could
yeah,
answer that
so, like,
question.
it was basically kind of like this new modernized version of. It was kind of like Wild Wild West meets Blazing Saddles. It was a really weird show, but it was fun. And I know Clobby was always a big fan of it. We talk about it from once in a while, but it was a very, very beloved but short lived. And mainly, from what I know, it was just because of the budgetary reasons. And Fox wasn't like this big, huge, network yet. So yeah,
right.
And hail to RT and Zed, who is lurking as he's driving home, and he's across the other side of the planet. So thank you very much. And actually, let me share as we talk. I'm going to just share Mike's obituary and some of the details. We'll talk about that. Some of the details of the ceremony that's coming up this Sunday from 2 to 8 p.m. Now, I don't think everything is ironclad yet, and we are going to try to stream it. I know the family is asked to stream it, and we've got some volunteers here, 70s, some other people probably can help do the backseat driving, for lack
Thank
of
you,
a better
70s
term.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm really sorry that I won't be able to go. So it's something I can do from here.
Well,
yes,
and it's important.
Yeah.
It's important. At least to me, it is. I think it's very important to me. And like I said before, I can't wait to show it. If Jonathan hasn't, I can't wait to show Clobby's parents how many people all over the country, all over the world, loved him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mark,
Loki, are you going to the thing in Baton Rouge or in Prairieville?
After talking to Pat and Jonathan, no.
Okay.
I got to see him on Wednesday. I got to see him while he was still alive. I got to tell him I love him. I got to meet his family. I didn't even think about like, oh, you're a representative of YouTube. Someone told me that. Oh, you represented all of us, and I was like, well, I wasn't even thinking that. I was just, my brother was in the hospital, and I wanted to. I wanted to go in there and be like, Clobberin Time, and get him up because he loved that. He got such a kick out of that when I would do that. No one does that like Loki, and just go in there and get him to wake his ass up. And
that's awesome. You do that really well, Loki. Yeah,
you really do. You really do. You really do. He's right.
You get me, every time.
So no, I won't. But I know that. They can't get everybody in there, so I'd much rather someone.
I think it's a bigger venue now, so not I'll find it. We'll find out more of the details, but I think the venue is a bigger venue right now. But we'll figure out.
Mark's right. It does appear that the venue is different.
Okay, because I had heard like 150 people, and that's most of his family. Right there, so I was like, "Yeah, I got to see him. I got to talk to him."
Steve will attest. He does have a big South Louisiana Gulf Coast family. We are plentiful.
Yes,
we are down here.
As Clobby would say, we are legion.
Right.
But as Mark's showing this, I can totally second that Jonathan did say it was very important to him, and he's especially thinking of his grandmother, that he does want the memorial broadcast because he understands it's a hardship for people to come out, and we have other obligations and things like that and all. But I'm glad there are people who are going that'll represent, and and Loki and Tom, y'all will be proud of this and all too. Some of my mobility issues and wanting to be able to hang back and not run the stream, but at least be the wrench in the chat doing that. I won't physically be there, but in the future, I will be getting together with Jonathan, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Tonight's not the night to talk about that, but I am definitely going to meet up with Dadman and Steve and Mrs. Dadman, and we're going to break bread, and we're going to get together because we're not going to let that opportunity pass, So
Anti-derivative Jill is in the chat, and I believe she is also going as well.
Oh, good. Yeah,
good, Jill.
Hey, Mark, I gotta pop off of here. Love you guys. You guys keep kicking ass and taking names.
You too, brother. And, see you in the morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Loki. Yep.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you there if you can make it then.
Okay.
Yep.
Take care. I'll take care. Thank you.
Thanks for popping in, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to echo what Loki said about doing things when you can. I never got the chance to meet Clobby in person, but it was always one of these days this is going to happen, I'll be down there or he'll be somewhere and we'll meet. And then these things happen, So I never had the privilege or the pleasure of meeting him in person, just online. But do it while you can. That's if you can do it, don't put it off. Especially if it's meeting people or getting together with people. In this kind of fellowship, a lot of us only ever see each other online.
I'll be in Edmonton, your city, day after tomorrow, buddy, for 3 days.
Well, I'm more of a Calgary guy,
I'll be in Calgary tomorrow then.
And Seven,
we've met though. We've met in person. We are one of the few people I have met.
Cheers.
Seven, if you're waiting to come to New Orleans until we get our first NHL team, it's not going to happen, brother. So just come down whenever.
I'll just have to come in. Ironically, when I lived in Texas, I used to work in Louisiana all the time, and that was many years before I got into doing YouTube, and wouldn't even have known of what was going on. I guess Clobby wouldn't be on YouTube then either, of course. But so it's ironic that it's so hard for me to get there now, given I used to be there every couple of weeks.
Close, right? Yeah, you used to be close. Yeah,
I was there a lot. Yeah, but yeah, don't put off. Don't put things obviously nobody can do everything, but sometimes it's worth just saying, I'm going to do it no matter what it takes.
Right. Yep. Just go for it. Yep. So the service is going to be at the Vault Event Center, and there's the address. You can goggle it. Prairieville, Louisiana, on June 23rd from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So I think the family wanted people to start speaking at 6 p.m., I believe, but don't quote me on that.
Not going to be enough time.
They might need to be more time. You're right. If they give everyone a few minutes, but all those details will be worked out. And the family is asked, as again, I'm saying to live stream this on Clobby's channel, so we'll work out those details. But I'm assuming we're going to try to have people come into StreamYard and maybe say a few words, and also then we'll stream out as well. Anyone's speaking in the room. And that way it can be shared, and or if you can't travel there, you don't want to speak, that's fine, but at least you can watch it. Obviously, watch it on YouTube and feel a part of it. And the family's encouraging everyone to wear geek, and of course I'm going to wear my thing hat, and I've got my shirt that I always wear to Comic-Con, my the first Marvel convention shirt. Maybe I'll find another thing shirt. Maybe I'll bring my Clobberin. I don't know if I can fit on the plane, but bring my thing. Let me grab those. Yep,
Your thing ring?
Your punching hands.
Thing ring, yep.
Beat you to it, just barely. Maybe I should.
No one ever plays thing ring, do my thing, but my
thing ring, do your thing. Yeah, yeah. I guess I should either find a Thor shirt, because because Clobby was the first one to tell me about the Walter Simonson run of Thor, which I really liked because I wasn't a Thor fan. The other thing that he introduced me to was the new Teen Titans, and I bought both of those titles until other people took them over and not ruined them, but weren't as good. So, yeah.
There's your picture when you got to meet. I guess one of the last time you got to see Mike.
No, this was 3 years ago, I think.
This is 3 years ago. Okay.
We went to the same restaurant every time. Yeah.
Okay. It's Clobberin Times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Princess Fiona has a nice tribute. So you can read all of these.
Speaking of pictures, I know Andy Masterson really wants to do an action figure Clobby. So if anybody, as many modern pictures you have of Clobby that we can get together, that we can get to Andy, that will help him.
Okay. Is he a 3D modeler?
Yeah, well, he makes figures like
he's a sculptor.
Yeah. So so he's going to need as much as he can as far as to go off of. But so basically I don't have very much. I just have some of the stuff that you guys have been posting and stuff here and there and such. So I'm sure that some of you guys probably have a lot more pictures that
Jonathan and Claude are going to be the guys you're going on.
Okay. Yeah. So if you guys can help out by just reaching out and getting a hold of Andy or me, and we can make that happen.
Tom, we'll make sure you have all their contact information. I'll handle that personally, if that's okay with you guys. I don't want to overstep, but I want to make sure if Claude clears that with you guys, that we could give Tom his info. I'll more than happily pass that on to Tom.
And is Andy on Facebook? Because I know there's. I mean,
yes, he's on. He's on. Well, he is technically. Yeah.
Because there's a ton of pictures in the Clobberin Times Baxter Building basement. Although, of course, I'm assuming pictures from the family would be especially helpful. Direct pictures. But I'll reach out to Andy too. And I'm sure
more so he's just going to need various angles as best as he can. And as close and good quality. Like I said, more modern stuff. Because clearly, as you see, there's a lot of variance over the years.
Sure. Detachable mustache. That's what you want to have.
Oh, yeah, you can. That's the thing, is he could possibly do some stuff like that. So yeah, we just got to make sure he gets some references to work with. So
I'm actually a 3D. Other than animator, I'm a 3D sculptor as well. Well, 3D, not physical. So I definitely know what you're talking about. Baxter Building basement maybe, but definitely Claude and Jonathan. Jonathan's probably got tons. So that'd be really cool. I love the detachable mustache, because I told Clobby, I was thinking about this thing to read some of our text messages over the years. And forgive me for saying this, but I sent him a text message saying, do you still have that? I won't state what specific kind of porn mustache from the 80s. But yeah, I can't be any more specific than that. But you could probably, figure
the tickler. The tickler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta head out.
It's
mate.
okay, Steve. They've made mainstream movies about John Holmes. No, you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings.
Okay, well, it's not. Clobby was not politically correct. 70 said he's got to fly.
I
He's
gotta
gonna
slip
pop
out.
out.
But thanks for doing this. I mean, I know you were doing a show anyway, Mark, but making it it's been a very special show. So thank you for that.
Appreciate
Thanks
you.
to
and
everybody.
Thanks for
here,
coming,
yeah.
Brian.
Thanks
for
to
your kind words,
everybody.
buddy.
Talk to you soon. Yep, yep.
Thanks to
Thank you so
everybody in the
much.
chat for being here. And yeah, Mark, catch up with me offline
Catch up during the week. Yep,
about
yep.
next week and what I can do. And
Yep, yep.
Canadian Spider-Man, I will see you this week.
Awesome.
Take care,
I wanna
everybody.
see pictures.
Take care.
Night,
Take care,
sir.
Brian. Thank you for
Bye.
joining us.
No, thank you.
Thank you for being there. Yep. And let's see here. Yeah. So well, I totally lost my train of thought, but that's what happens when you get stream brain sometimes. But thank you for being here, 70s, and yeah, we'll talk during the week about logistics. Yep, which is you got to worry about all those little details. But yeah, I just also want to show. Oh, good. I was just going to tell Jill I did send her the link. So thank you for popping in, Jill.
Yes.
Jill,
You're welcome. Hi, Retro. Hi, Canadian Spider-Man, Mark.
Hi, Jill.
Hey, hey, Jill.
Steve Mitchum, Tom.
I don't see her. Why am I not seeing
She's
her?
right below me.
She's on the other side, buddy. She's under Spider-Man.
On the side, yep.
Oh, okay.
You see?
And
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm over here.
There
I
you
think
are.
Mark keeps moving people around or something.
She's Stargirl now, Steve.
My YouTube is a little bit behind the StreamYard, so that she hadn't popped up, and then she just popped up right when I opened my big stupid.
I'm going to
so.
predict that antiderivative Jill is going to pop into your chat in about 10 seconds.
Mark knows the past.
Joe, while we have you on, and in case people are talking a little bit about logistics for the memorial event, pretty much a week from today, yesterday, depending on what your time zone is, I want to let you know and other people know it's much easier and much less expensive to fly into New Orleans. You're about going to be driving the same amount of time. Whether you go fly into
it's too
Baton
late.
Rouge. Oh, you already
It's too
bought Baton
late.
Rouge tickets?
Oh, you flew
Okay.
to Baton Rouge?
Yeah, because
Oh.
I picked why. Oh,
I'm so sorry. I should have told you. It would have been so much cheaper to go into New Orleans.
oh really?
Yeah, and then
I-
just get on 10, and you're there.
Well, you're not too far away, Jill, right? I mean,
No. Baton Rouge is fine.
No.
It's just a little, but anybody, whether you're in New Orleans or you're in Baton Rouge, you're going to need a vehicle. You do not want to try to Uber it or take a cab to the venue. You're going to want to lease a car and drive.
it won't be a busy enough venue where you could get an Uber easily. Yeah.
Right. And leaving at 9 o'clock at night. Exactly. Good point, Mark.
And the other thing is, I'm going to be going in on Friday, so I don't know if we want to have a casual meetup or we don't know any of our plans per se yet. But I hope to be hanging out with Maddie's daddy and Pat S. And
What time does your flight land on Friday?
I'm going to pick the flight now. I had an early morning Saturday flight that I was just looking at, but I'll grab one on I want to get there earlier rather than later, so
Okay.
I'll look for an earlier one on Friday, and then I'm hiring you as my tour guide, I guess. So we'll talk about all those details. But if we know where we're going on Friday night or Saturday, if anyone if Jill, if you're there, or would love to meet up with anyone, if we're going to a restaurant or very casual. But if maybe we'll let people know where we are, and we always talked about having a ClobbyCon, and unfortunately, like as we said, it never happened. But anyone who's traveling there,
we should probably find a way to get each other's phone. I have Mark's phone number; he's got mine. But if Jill's like, hey, where the hell am I? She's not going.
Yeah, I don't get in until 10 on Saturday.
On Saturday? Oh, okay.
10 at night. Yep, 10 at night. I'm assuming, right? Yep. So then, but whoever's in, whoever's making their way in, or hearing this, obviously, glad to try to all get together. Might as well, take advantage of actually all being in the same neck of the woods. So, but yeah, we'll exchange cell numbers anyway, and then we'll figure out car rentals and stuff like that. So, yeah, maybe we can combine a car. And we'll figure those
Yes,
logistics
totally.
out. You know, maybe we don't need. You know, maybe both of us don't need. All of us need to rent cars, and we'll chip in to help pay for the Corvette that we're going to rent. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, we could possibly even go to the Baton Rouge airport, pick up Jill if she's,
Yeah.
unless she's got a car or,
I'd appreciate that. I appreciate also the advice to rent a car. So I guess we'll figure that out.
Okay. Well, if anybody, so I'm semi-local. I lived in Baton Rouge for 35 years, although it's changed humongously. So if anybody wants my number, you can get it from Mark. Mark, you have, go ahead and feel free to give it to anybody that wants it. So,
okay.
Yeah. And the same with me, Mark. I could certainly, it might even be easier for me to guide people if Steve's, in the air doing something or,
totally.
especially coming from the New Orleans. Clubby had a lot of family in Kenner, which is a suburb of New Orleans, but also a very big city in of itself. Not as big as Baton Rouge, obviously, but a sizable city. And he did a lot of work out of there. And I think Steve still has a lot of his cousins and nephews, huh? A few people in Kenner, right? That
Me or Clobby? Clobby, yes, yeah. His daughter lives in Chalmette.
Yeah, she's a St. Bernard person, so right.
Yeah.
You know what time your flight is, Steve? Or
my flight, I believe, is coming in on Friday at 3:50, I believe.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, and then I'm flying out Monday.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if anybody needs any help, anything I can do, carpooling or whatever. Also, if anybody is going to spend any time in New Orleans, I can give you my brother's number. He was a cop there, a hero cop. He hates it when I say that. No, yeah, he saved a drowning baby, and he saved an old lady from a burning building. Both times he was off duty. He will shoot me if he hears this, but he knows New Orleans is probably as well as Pat does. So there's more resources.
Neon Knight saying prepare for heat and humidity. Well, I got to wear my unstable molecules, I think. So I guess I shouldn't bring pants to this.
Don't listen to them, Mark. It's barely 110 degrees at heat index. So.
And 400% humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your windshield's going to be covered with what are called love bugs. And I'm not making this up. It's
he's right.
Two
the
bugs
cicadas and the love bugs
butt.
right now are nuts.
Yeah. Good night, Agent Atwood. Yep. But it's going to be good to see everyone. Was going to be very bittersweet, but it'll be good to meet the family and everyone in person. My mom was asking me tonight at her, Father's Day dinner, how safe are these people? Are they very nice? I'm like, are you sure you're going to be okay? Well, moms always worry, right? So
the answer to that is we're all nerds. How many times has anybody ever been afraid of a nerd? Nobody was in high school going, "Oh no, Scott's coming."
Yeah.
Well, no, my friends used to joke with me. They said, "You gotta watch out for the quiet ones." Of course, you can't be a quiet one when you're on YouTube, so it wasn't quite it's not quite obvious here. But that was how it was.
That's true, Jill.
And Clobby keeps me up past my bedtime again. Good night, everyone. I need my sleep. If not for meat, is that supposed to be meat? I guess Tom will be mad. Yep.
Oh,
midnight
thanks,
in the morning.
Thanks, Pete, bud.
So
now I'm the oldest guy here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Tom,
take care.
love
Yeah.
you.
Part of the comic book cabal.
Love
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Keep me company a lot.
Hey, before we get too much further, we didn't hear how Canadian Spider-Man came to know Clobby.
Yeah, that's well, it was through Cardinal Sin who I met through Doomcock, who I met through Midnight's Edge After Dark. That's a pretty wide loop, and then I completely fell in love with the group in his chats, Raquel, of course, and yourself, Mark, and just immediately I gravitate towards authentic people, and by that I mean genuine. I don't mean unique. although he certainly, holy shit, does he fit that description? But I mean authentic in the sense, genuine people. You get what you see. There's no pretense. Pretentious people, if you take yourself too seriously, people like that I don't associate too much with. But Mike is the opposite of that, and so I met him through Cardinal Sin, through Gil. And you know what? I was fortunate enough to have Clobberin Times come on as the comic in his capacity as a formidable comic book expert. He came on a stream that Gil arranged, and it was just Gil and me and Clobberin Times. And Gil had given me for my 50th birthday just 2 years ago 10 Spider-Man comic books, because I didn't own any, and these were from the early 80s and late 70s, genuine, not reprints, genuine Spider-Man comic books in all the protective coverings. And Mike came on and told us what he knew about. We went through them page by page, pretty much,
Great
and
show.
book by book, and he was so generous with his time. And I just loved.
And you were wearing your Spider-Man costume too. It was a classic stream.
Thank you. I don't pull that out very often. That was the last time I wore that on camera, I think.
That was great. Yeah.
Certainly not around town here, but on camera, yeah.
And then, of course, let's not forget too, Clobby was basically gearing up the rescue team to go out and save you, Canadian Spider-Man, when you went missing. Remember that, Mark? He was so worried about him, dude. The next day he's DMing us, "What's the update on Canadian Spider-Man? Is he okay?"
We were all scared about you that night, buddy. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, we were alive when that happened. It was crazy, dude.
I'm never gonna live that down. Yeah.
No, you won't.
I can't thank him and a lot of people for that. LDG as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was scary, and that's a good reason for someone to have your cell phone number when we think about this. And always appreciate Jonathan reaching out to me. And we got to say goodnight to one of Clobberin Times' best friends. Good night, fellow Clobberers. My bed feels like it's 15 miles away. I promise to take at least one shower before I meet any of you. So that's very good news. So when I fly in, I'll at least Claude will have had a shower, thank God. So but have a great
Claude,
night.
I hope you hear this, man. You have been right there through the thick of it, dude, and keeping everybody up to date. And man, we appreciate it because we know it wasn't easy for you, dude. We know it wasn't easy. So.
For those of you who will go and meet Claude, he's going to come off as this crusty, tough, kind of unfriendly guy. It's all bullshit. He's a big marshmallow. Oh, I just said a bad word. Sorry.
Oh, and JT Kirk, let me send you the link. And big shout out to JT, who's he went to the emergency, and I can say this because it was on stream. I never want to, this was public knowledge, but he did that end up being the last Saturday Night Star Trek, or was that two weeks ago? My brain has been so scrambled.
Yeah, I think the last one was with where Clobby did the by himself kind of thing, and that was a week from this past Saturday, correct?
I thought that I can't. Not that it matters which week it was, but I know that JT Kirk was taken to the emergency room during one of the recent Saturday Night Star Trek. So we hope he's feeling better. And just JT sent you the link. Yeah, glad to have you on to say a few words about Clobberin Times. We're probably not going to go too much longer tonight.
By the way, Mark, happy birthday, man! On top of everything else.
I felt so bad. I missed the last Saturday Night
birthday.
Star Trek. I didn't know it was going to be the last one.
And JT, that was the last one. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a bittersweet birthday, but it's when you get up to be in your 50s, it's not the same as when you were a kid, when you had got to have cupcakes at school. Not even our local school, they banned the cupcakes because they said kids might have nuts or something. And it wouldn't be good for nutrition. So no fun. But thank you everyone for all the birthday wishes, and it's it's a tough one this year. But thank you for all the support, everyone, and and yeah, it's been tough. It's Father's Day, birthday, but the whole time thinking Mike the whole time. So, but thank
Jill,
you.
I wanted to say to you though, it's so weird because a lot of people are like, and I said this, like, I'm taking a break. I can't do Voyager. I can't rewatch Voyager again and stuff. But about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I think you guys will remember this. You were there, Mark. You were there. About 4 or 5 of us that hadn't been on a while just all jumped on. Like, we didn't plan this, just kind of like it was kismet. We all jumped on, and we were making Voyager jokes, and we were visiting with everybody. And I hung out for it was like the most time I've spent since DS9 was over on Saturday night. And it's I'm not saying we knew something was going to happen. I don't think anything like that, but it was a happy coincidence that there were so many of us that were there and got to kind of visit with each other. And I'm so glad I did it now.
I've been missing a few of you guys who dropped out for Voyager, but I understand why a lot of people don't like that show. I know, like Kal-El, I guess, dropped out too for that one.
Jill, if I'd have known, I'd have been there every episode. I would have suffered. I would have suffered through it just to hear and visit with you guys because it was so much fun. Hey, JT, how you doing, buddy?
And we got JT and Nick Weiser here, but hail to JT.
Hey, Nick. I'm sorry. Hello, Nick.
Yep.
Hello, Nick.
Oh, hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello, Canadian.
I hope you guys weren't backstage for too long. I hope I didn't boomer it.
About 5 minutes.
Oh, no.
It's okay.
Oh, no.
Hey,
Hello.
Oh, good.
Hello,
I was
Nick.
just listening.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Tom.
You're up.
Always good to see Tom.
Hi,
Retro.
Who
are you?
Of course, Steve and Pat. And then there's Mark. Oh, I'm some dude.
And
Well,
I said
think
this.
I identify as a dude.
Dude, you somehow, and I don't know how, you know my last name.
I don't know how. I just,
And you remember it.
It's just,
I thought your last name was Thor, or was it Thunder?
God, first name God, last name Thunder. Get it right.
It's funny. I every time that I would get together with the Clobby, I would make a joke about Stone Loki. Like, careful how you speak. He is of Asgard.
And I said this at the beginning, but I want to throw this out too. If you're like, I want to watch just one more kind of memorial thing about Clobby, go watch the first 25, 30 minutes of Nick Weiser's Friday night show, which was 1 o'clock. It was Nick's Friday night thing. If you didn't know about it, you might not have known about it. If you're ever wondering where was Clobby on Friday nights, that's where he was. And you guys, Nick, y'all knocked it out the park, dude. That moment of silence really got me.
Thank you.
And dude, you, Pablo, almost as bad as Tom. Y'all both choked me up, man. You three guys. I didn't expect it from Pablo.
The first 15
I forgot how much Pablo and he. Yeah, man. Y'all, you three killed me. Ugh.
But it was good because even after once that first 15 minutes we got out of our system, we were able to talk about so much of the funny stuff for the next 2 hours.
That's what I loved about it, man.
That it became like, we were laughing about all the ridiculous funny memories that Clobby brought us, like the Stanley intros, the names that he had for the shows and movies that he did. Like, we were having a ball. We were talking about the times where like he would show up on the streams acting like he was passed out.
We gotta clip some of that. Somehow I gotta make clips of some of those great.
That's what we were saying, dude. That's exactly what we were saying. We're like, we gotta get a compilation of all the things because it was amazing.
And Nick, let's not forget too. I had to go do. Loki invited me, so I had to go hang with him on Friday night. But don't forget, guys, because Nick's show was on Friday, Clobby would go sometimes almost against his will, right? Or because he had an obligation to a friend of his, he would go see one of these awful new Marvel movies or DC movies.
Oh,
so of course,
yes.
the first chance he had to talk about it was with Nick on Friday nights. And every time a Marvel movie came out, I was like, I don't care what's going on Friday night. I'm going to be listening to Nick.
Sometimes he would come on the Thursday show coming fresh from it.
Yes.
So
yeah. When they Tom, when they stopped doing the midnight,
he would come in and go, I just watched the Marvels.
And sometimes they have a new
Oh,
name
I
for
just
the
watched
movie.
Eternals. Well, of course, he
He'd
wouldn't
call
say
it
that
Man
name.
of
He'd say
Stool.
whatever
He'd come up
name.
with
Yeah,
a new
exactly.
name.
He'd come up with whatever name it was he came up with for
Eternals.
it. But yeah,
Eternals.
Eternals.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
Oh,
so
Canadian
yeah.
Spider-Man has got to swing away, unfortunately. So let's let him go catch some criminals and say hi to everyone in this friendly neighborhood out there. But thank you,
Well,
buddy.
you
for,
got one in the
stopping by.
government, so you want to take care of your top criminal.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and yeah, it's good to have such good people in Clobby's community, like each one of you. So yeah, thanks for having me. And
Steve,
for being here. We'll get together soon. Yep.
If you're ever in Vegas, brother, look me up.
You know, that very possibly could happen. Yeah, that's a real thing, and I tend to do that. I tend to pop up in different places around. So
I know
yeah.
I've seen your streams. I don't always
I'll take you up on
comment,
that.
but yeah, you forget Carmen San Diego. Where in the world is Canadian Spider-Man? He's in
I'll take you
Mexico.
up
He's
on that.
absolutely
All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Take
great
care.
travels,
Take care, buddy.
Good
Thanks for
night.
joining.
Take care.
Mark, I wanted to tell you, if you want to find a good stream where to clip Clobby's Gorn impression, I distinctly remember the top 25 original series Star Trek episodes that he and Rick.
Okay. So I'm writing that down. I have a file of videos to clip, and Mike would always ask me to clip certain things. So a lot of these clips are, they're all Mike's ideas, like the Kurtwood Smith, the dumbass. He's like, get me that dumbass for when Kurtwood Smith is on Voyager. So let me grab. So that's, and there was a few of them I haven't, that's in my list to do that he'd. Most of the time I got to them, but like I've got Behave Yourself, RoboCop 2. He wanted me to get that. So that was the top 25 episodes, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where in the live stream he did the Gorn impression, but
Yeah,
I requested it and it occurred.
And Joe, you can back me up on this. In case anybody's wondering, Spock's brain was not in the top 25. It didn't make it.
Oh, I don't believe that
but
for a
but
second.
it was in the top 90, I think, Steve.
It was like 70.
Steve, I like to tell people I was in the top 90% of my graduating high school class.
Yeah, I think Spock's brain was right above the empath. Was that what it was called?
Empath, yeah. Well, I don't have the whole list.
I
Mark
have
has
the list. I have the list, thank God. So I have. Of course, you can always go back and watch the stream. But I actually taught him how to use Google Sheets. So the one thing I wondered if we have the Blake 7 list, because as we're tragically we haven't finished reviewing Blake 7, but and he would always name what number each episode was. So I don't know. I've got to ask Jonathan if he's got a list somewhere on his computer, or I know he did some Blake 7 shows before, so I don't know if he had ranked him. And of course, his rankings would change, but I know what his number one show.
He did a whole show ranking every Blake 7.
He did, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he did.
It did. Okay, good. So I have to go back.
Right.
And of course, he would change his rankings sometimes. So I have his Marvel movie rankings. I have those, because I love the spreadsheets. Oh, and Max has Clobby's list. Thank you, Max. Yeah, so maybe you could, if you already have it, so I don't have to go watch the show. If you could, again, I probably watched it. I'm just forgetting. But if you have it, in digital form, if you could send me that'd be appreciated. Yep.
God, guys, another one too that he knew everything backwards and forward. The old Twilight Zones. Oh man, his knowledge about those too. Did he do a lot on those, Mark? I'm gonna have to go look and see back. I know we talked a lot about him on your show.
I think he covered a ton of Twilight Zone, and that was something we always talked about doing on the Clubhouse.
I remember that. We even talked to Rimmer. I had brought up Night Gallery and stuff, and he knew about that too.
Yeah,
it's amazing, man.
So
that was one we were thinking. Outer Limits, and of course The Prisoner. They were going to do, and we were going to do, or talked about doing, and then part of Mike's, not Patreon, but we had just added a level, and I kind of goaded him, and I said, well, let me, you should add a higher level, to help keep the lights on your channel. He's like, I don't want to do it. I'm not worth it. No. I said, well, just add it, and if anyone wants to, support anyone at that higher level. And then one of the things would have been to, of course, Saturday meetups with Clobberin Times in the afternoon. That usually worked good for him, and also picking some show topics. So tragically, we didn't get to. I think it was just the first month that he just started that, but
I didn't even know.
yeah, he never wanted to take credit.
So Mark, Friday night while we were doing the show, we have a great listener. I know he's a very major listener of Saturday Night Star Trek. You may have heard him. His name's Gwagnar. And
of course,
he sent me a page Friday night right on time for our usual comic show. And it was a back page that involved the lettering column of issue 251 of The Incredible Hulk, written by Bill Mantlo and drawn by Sabushima. And at the top right corner, bottom right corner, it said, "Dear Bill and Sal, you two are the greatest duo Marvel's had since the days of Lee and Kirby. You've proven it here in The Incredible Hulk and in the pages of Rom the Space Knight. Great work, Mike Alonso."
Yeah,
I'm gonna send it to you.
Hated that. He hated that. Send it to me, but someone mentioned it, and he's like, "Why did I can't believe someone found that." Because there is a listing of everyone that's. I think it's Mike in Mike's Amazing World. You can look up people who sent into the letters pages.
Yeah.
And he was embarrassed. I'm like, that's a great comment. I'm embarrassed, but I don't know where we could. The problem is, I know I heard him say that, but. The hours and hours and hours of time we're fortunate enough to spend together, I couldn't tell you which show. Maybe in the future AI will be able to do that. But yeah, he was embarrassed by that. But I love that. I love seeing that, and that's love to see that again. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Hulk 251. Yep. I'm gonna go buy. If I don't own that, I'm gonna go buy it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been doing the last few nights. I'm like, look, and it's very affordable too. So yeah, definitely get a copy, man. Definitely one have for your show, knowing that our buds, his name's there and everything is just like.
Maybe put that on a T-shirt for the.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Or definitely gonna clip that and send it to the family for the. One of the I don't know if there's someone's doing a slideshow or not. Usually someone does a slideshow for something like that. But
speaking of T-shirt, I had bought a T-shirt, but it was too big, and I wanted to buy another one. It was of the Cloboni, but I don't remember what the link was to buy that shirt.
Oh, you actually doing a custom club
a long time ago.
You were going to buy the shirt yourself and get it printed, or just someone offered it, or what?
No, it's an official. It's an official YouTube. It's something that Bobby and Raquel did. I don't know. I thought maybe
the T-shirt artwork was probably done by Hungry Boy.
It was definitely done by Hungry Boy.
Yes, it was done by Hungry Boy, but there was a T-shirt that was released, and I have one. But
I didn't know that.
I want a new one. What? Really? Okay.
Oh no, I didn't know that. Was that? Did you do a YouTube like merchandise store that I don't know about, or?
Yeah, there is. This shirt exists, but I can't find any evidence in my emails. I can't find it anywhere.
Oh, well, let me go to his channel.
No, you're not going to find it on his channel. Never mind.
Mark, you know better than that, dude. We'd have had to kill him to have him have a merch store, for God's sakes.
I didn't get a merch store.
Right? The fact that it took Raquel to go into his page to turn on monetization. You want to talk about, man, you had to you couldn't just twist his arm. You'd have to twist both of his arms and his legs in order to allow that to happen.
Hey guys, Tom Connors could tell that story of when they were all doing something on the channel, and it was I think it was Paulie's channel on Latino Slant, and Paulie started doing the, "Hey, everybody, send in Venmo money to me and stuff. We're going to give it to Clobby."
Yeah.
Oh, dude, right, Nick? And he started flipping out, and he was so mad. I said, "Paul, you think he's going to take the money for you?" He's like, "He's not going to have a choice. If I have to, I'll push an envelope under his door."
I remember him saying it on screen that he has no choice. He's taking this damn money. Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was so funny. Oh, he was like a rattlesnake, y'all.
Oh yeah.
The other thing I did too was I think we needed like say 5 more membership subs on his channel to get like the next icon or
Yeah, you're a little emoji guy. Yeah.
emoji guy, and then yeah, so if you want to get like another to add the Gorn, or like we need 5 more, and then I think he got 50 memberships that night or something ridiculous, and he was mad at me. He's like, why'd you do that? I'm like, but he was so self-deprecating, never wanted to, he was just here for the fun, right? So
yeah.
And I could never understand why. I always wish he had more subs, and now he hit the 2K, which is awesome. Unfortunately,
dude, it was the worst circumstance they hit that, because I remember the week before, once again on the Friday night show, I hit 2K well on that stream, and I remember right after it happened, we all kind of like lit up, screamed, cheered about it. And I said to Clobby, "You're next, dude. You're next." And he's just like, "Oh, that's nonsense. That's crazy." I'm like, dude, you're like 50. You're 50 under me.
Yeah, I saw him inching towards it.
Yeah, he Clobby and I have kind of always been like in a similar path with each other with that stuff. We've always kind of like been within each other's range. It's also like I would be like 50 to 100 head, and he would bounce up 50 to 100 head. It was fun, and it was just a fun thing that happened. And I'm like, you're gonna hit soon. I said, give it about a week or two, and well, I was right. Not for the reasons that I wanted to be, but I was like, it was only inevitable for him, because there was just no way something like that could slide. Clobby needed to be at 2K. The man was inevitable.
And thank you to again to Valiant Renegade, who knocked a good portion of his audience or linked it over, and of course Doomcock and as Clobby would joke there, and Raquel, the big YouTubers, but but no, it was very much appreciated that night. That was heartwarming, and it was great that so many people were watching. Not because it's hard, just so the family could see and everyone could see it and celebrate. Clobberin Times. And JT Kirk has been here for a while. I know JT Kirk has been under the weather, and I don't know if you want to give us any kind of update, whatever whatever
Mark.
you feel like giving, but up to you, obviously. But I know you were under the weather, and great to have you in here to say some words about your buddy and our Fortnite buddy, Clobberin Times, who only played with us a few times, but yeah.
Yeah, so it was that last Saturday night Star Trek. I did get rushed to the ER, and just thank you for everybody's support on that. I've been spending the last week just under the weather, dealing with some stuff. Doctors finally got some answers for me, just waiting on some surgery scheduled to open up for that, but I'm not going to plots. It just has not been a fun time. But anyway, and I wanted to say that
you've had a rough time, so God bless you. You're on the mend soon.
Thank you for having me, because I haven't been well enough to make any panel until this one. So, but just to tell you what kind of a guy Mike was, I never met him in person, but I'd been following his channel since I think it was the start of second season, maybe it was the end of first season of TOS. And he wrote me the nicest note on X Twitter, rooting for me, hoping I get better. So that was, quite the shock. I wrote back to him when I heard he went in the hospital. I said, I'm going to tell the nurses, play man of stool on the clock on that TV till you get better. Because I knew it wouldn't get him mad enough.
Get him out of bed.
Having to hear that thing for more than 2 seconds. But anyway, I met Clobby for the first time through Overlord DVD's channel. I think it was a Sunday night show he was on, and he said, we're doing this thing called Saturday Night Star Trek. And, I started following DVD because he was covering, I don't know if we call it the filth on this channel too, Mark, but on Clobby's channel, it was only known as the filth.
It was always the filth, yeah. That was his creation, I tried not to steal it,
And so, like I said, I've been around Saturday Night Star Trek since the TOS days, and it's been years now, gosh. And then started doing his Monday, Wednesday, Thursday shows. I streamed with Clobby a little bit on Dadman's channel, but Clobby's responsible for me getting to meet everybody here on this panel and in the chat. and others. I wouldn't have all the friends I have today if it weren't for him. And I grew up in TNG days when those were new. In my school, I thought I was the only Trek fan in the whole school, right? So it wasn't until an adult I found anyone that I thought like Star Trek like I did, which was huge. I can't sell that short enough. And he was always so cool with it, and he introduced me more to comic book stuff than I ever thought. I wasn't allowed to read them as a kid, so they were on the banned list. I don't know. I had strict parents, and when parents are just trying to get their kids to read anything more than the back of the cereal box, but so as an adult, I started collecting. So pretty small collection compared to, I think your one long box probably outstrips what I have, Mark. But
well, that's okay, though, right? Yeah.
But went to my first Comic-Con after him talking about it for years, and met Raquel, and I met you, Mark, and so now I have all of Raquel's books in every outlet she's ever published.
I do the same thing. I buy the paperback, I buy the hardback, I buy the Kindle. I buy even before the actual book is out. I buy every individual Kindle.
Also. Yep, on the Patreon, waiting for the advanced copy, and then when Clobby got that higher level membership, I was there in 2 seconds, fumbling over the keyboard trying to get to it. That's one thing he never realized. People would have bought a ton of his stuff, Clobby the T-shirt, Clobby the coloring book, Clobby the lunchbox, Clobby the breakfast cereal.
That would have been
Spaceballs to lunchbox.
Yeah, there you go. You got it. Got it. So, but anyway,
you can actually do a YouTube store if you're a professional YouTuber with your logo or something that. You can actually do that. So it's something he never wanted to promote himself in that way, which is amazing too, because most people aren't like that, right? I mean, most people are going to say, "Hey, I've got the opportunity to make a few, gold press bars of Latinum here. I'm not going to turn that down." And he just didn't want to take any credit for anything, or allow him imposing on people. No, people love you. They want to hang out with you, and they want to, people want to give you a little tip or throw something your way, and it's not, if people can, they'll do it. It's obviously not something that you have to do. That's on YouTube, but it's people. So just Raquel did a great job getting them over that 1,000K with everyone here and who watched, but she was a big force behind that. And then finally we got them, monetized. Raquel helped and did a lot to help them behind the scenes with all the YouTube stuff, and I'm sure other people helped as well, but Raquel was the prime mover on that one. And, and of course, getting them to do the memberships was a battle, and I helped him to do the memberships with Raquel, and she did all the icons, and then later on I added some icons. But he went climbing and screaming towards that. He didn't want to he didn't want to do it. So it was but that's him. That's his personal nature, right?
Mike would rather get into a fist fight with you than have you pick up the check.
Yep. Straight up.
I got that.
Right.
But he would wear a t-shirt with the Superman logo, and I would wear a t-shirt with his logo. And I don't think he ever really realized just how much, people really admired him. I'm about the age of his kids, and he would always tell me that. He'd call me a youngster, and I'm like, I don't feel young. Kids my own, But he always seemed like an older brother to me. And it really, anytime he said something to me, always meant a lot. Mark, I'll wrap up what what I wanted to say here. He had two ways of always greeting me whenever I joined. One was he'd always shout, "He is Kirok," and that was always great. I loved that. The chat loved it. The other thing, he would always say, "Oh, hey, JT Kirk. JT Kirk was a man. I think he's still a man."
The way he introduced people, he would either like have a really epic way of saying their name, or he'd have like a theme song. It was great. He was almost like the 70s, 80s, and 90s commercial jingles, but for YouTube. It was great.
You know, he also.
Oh, I just want to drop. I think Pat S has got to get a head on out, and so Pat.
I do. The youngest has to go in about 6 hours to go get his.
Sorry, I wanted to interrupt there. Yep.
And no, but I want you guys to finish. But I am just going to end it with two things. Mark has all the information. If there's something y'all need in New Orleans, if you come down, let me know. Don't feel like you have to come down. There's going to be a stream somehow, somewhere, because Clobby's family wants it, so that's going to happen. And the last thing I want to leave y'all with is simply this. If you knew him, if he addressed you in chat, if he came on your show, you were his friend. You were his people. If he, he didn't waste time with people that weren't wasted time with, right? And don't get me wrong, he would wish you well. Hey, if you don't agree, great. Good knowing you. You go live your life. I'm going to go live mine. But if he interacted with you, he was your friend. He knew who you were. And that's pretty rare, pretty special. But if you're wondering at that, if you're thinking it is. He liked you. He liked us all.
He appreciated everyone. Yeah, because he would. After he'd say in the stream, he'd talk about people. Yeah. So.
Mark. I mean, we could tell stories. Nick, I'm sure you had. Tom, I'm sure you have it too, where he'd stay afterwards, and rarely was it that guy's a jerk. If it was somebody he said it was a jerk, it was some big studio person, right? But he'd be like, "Hey, what do you guys know about so and so? They seem like a pretty cool guy. That guy seems like he knows a lot about such and such." And that's just how he was. But I'll be seeing y'all soon. Mark, I think you and I talked a little bit about this. Y'all are going to take some time and get through this next Sunday. And then what's going to happen with Saturday night, so that's going to be sussed out. But there will always be a place where Clobby's remembered and there's something going on, no matter where. And I'm talking about years from now. If you look at the people that are on this screen now, those people, Tom, Nick, Mark, especially you, Steve, old friend, but Jill, JT, Retro Girl, you got, and Loki, anybody who's not even here right now, there's no way that he's not always going to be a part of y'all, and that he's not going to be represented in some way. So there'll always be a place for us that met through him and enjoyed the things that he liked that were important to him. And that will continue no matter what. Not even a concern I have,
Yeah.
But y'all have a good night. And if I don't see you sooner, I'm sure I'll see you Sunday.
Yep. And
looking forward to it.
We'll be in touch. We'll be in touch probably tomorrow.
But you get a hold of me tomorrow anytime, dude. That's fine.
Appreciate it.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Happy Father's Day.
Yes, take care.
Mark, I'm going to follow him out the door as well, I think.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do, we're going to end the stream within 10 minutes. But if everyone wants to go around and say a few words, Steve, you can go first. Because
I wanted to get out of the way because Tom and Retro and Nick have been sitting there so patiently, just waiting for the rest of us to stop talking a little bit. But yeah, I want to echo also if anybody. I'm a local to Baton Rouge, so if anybody who's going, and this is just for also anybody in the chat who might be going, because I realize not everybody can. Feel free to get my number from Mark. Mark, you can give out my phone number to anybody.
Yep.
Well, not anybody, but anybody who's here. And just thank you for being a part of Mike's life. I think you guys may not realize how important you were to him. We were two guys who were my daughter's awake, who were very nerdy. And so therefore outcasts, and
Yep.
we hung around with people like Claude and Mike's late friend Chris, that you guys haven't heard about. And we were our own little group because the broader world just didn't really accept us in those days. There were no retro nerd girls or anti-derivative Jills or RM Briggses back in those days. You went to comic cons or you went to comic shops, and it was all guys like us. So now, when Mike sort of gained this notoriety, even though he was ultimately humble, as Mike would say, he's got bags of humility. That's from Superman, for anybody who doesn't know. I think it really made him feel like he was a part of something bigger than just a guy in Baton Rouge. So he's gone now, but I just want he's one of my best friends, and I just want to express personally my gratitude for that. Tom, I told you he really looked up to you. He looked up to a few people. Nick, he didn't look up to you. He looked at you as like a brother, like you guys had kind of come up through the ranks together, sort of.
We absolutely did. I mean, he was one of my first streams like that I ever had was with him, and I remember we got kind of started on the same time. And like I mentioned earlier, we were always within the same vicinity of each other. So yeah, that would definitely apply to that.
And what's weird about him looking up to me is, like, I always looked up to him, and I know so many other people did too. And he was like the elder statesman.
He was the godfather.
He was, and I don't think he ever really realized that or was too humble to ever take that on. But I do want to thank, like, you and Jonathan and Ashley for sharing Mike with us, because I mean, we aren't there every day in his real life like you guys were. I mean, we wanted to be. We were there in certain ways, but I mean, the saddest part of this whole thing is that I know I'll never actually get to meet him face to face, shake his hand, have a drink with him or dinner or whatever, and just get to talk with him one-on-one. And I'm envious of all the people that have on this panel. And, I mean, I hope to meet almost all of you, if not all of you, at some point in reality at somewhere. It'd be great. I mean, Nick is the only person on the panel thus far that I've been able to have the pleasure to meet in person that I know of offhand, unless somebody else was at the meetup that I missed. But no, he was an amazing guy, and we will miss him. And there will always be an empty spot in so many shows now because he's not there to fill them.
Yeah. I haven't been crying that much like everybody else has, because when I think of Mike, all the humor, just every time I met that guy, he had something hilarious to say every time for 40 something years, although I'll probably be a blubbering mess come Sunday. But, if any of you all are ever in Vegas, it's the only thing I like about Vegas, because I hate it here. But
easy to fly to, right?
Sir?
It's easy to fly to. There's a lot of
it's easy. Everybody comes to Vegas sooner or later. The heat is killing me, but yeah, open invitation. Anybody, if you come to Vegas, let's definitely get together, and I will tell you several tall tales. I'll tell you stories about Clobby that'll make you love him even more and hopefully make you laugh. But in the meantime, I'm going to go. My 3-year-old has a dentist appointment in the morning, so I am going to say goodnight. You guys are all the best. And JT, by the way, thank you. You always ask how Maddie's doing, and that's just so kind of you.
I'm so proud that you got her to wear the Spider-Man outfit again, by the way.
Actually, after you said that tonight, I started watching you guys all like this, you comic book people. She watches Spidey and His Amazing Friends all the time.
Yes. Oh wow!
Yes. 5-star.
Well, but I'm getting sick of them. I'm talking about the new
one. Put on the 60s
the new
one, where all the buildings look the same except the Daily Bugle.
I have done that, but the other thing I did was a couple of nights ago I put on the Fleischer Supermans.
Ooh, well done. Go, Dad.
She loved them, especially Arctic Monster. You know, the one with the 10-story T-Rex.
Yes.
From the Mesozoic era. I mean, they didn't really research their facts, but still beautiful animation. So I think I'm gonna get her Superman pajamas as well. So, but on that note, I am going to head out and let better people than I talk. You guys are all the best. I watch it. Tom, I apologize. I've only seen a couple of your shows because, I have a toddler to take care of. I'm a single dad. I've seen several. Nick always says hi and somehow remembers my last name, which I just can't believe. Retro, I try to jump on your channels when I can. I'm usually at work at that time. And Jill, even though I was subscribed to you, notifications had somehow gotten turned off. But I will try to follow you all as closely as possible. And like I said, anybody who wants to come to Vegas at any time, hear stories about Clobby. And
I might be there next year, buddy. I might be there in the spring next year. So I'll let you know in advance, because so we will meet up, and if you want to bring Maddie along too, we can talk about it over In and Out or something. But regardless, it'll be fun.
Well, by that time, she will be fairly well steeped in comics as well.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah.
Then she can outshine me. Then at 3, it'll be perfect.
Well, I don't know. Outshining you was a pretty tall order. Mike had a lot of respect for you. So, but get my number from or my email or my smoke signals, carrier pigeon.
Okay.
And I hope also if 70s is still listening, that he will as well. And Tom, same for you. And on that note, I'm gonna step.
I'll talk to. Well, before you leave, sorry, we'll touch base tomorrow on logistics and stuff too. So, I guess I don't know what afternoon is good. I want to book my flight, but sorry to do all this business while we're live streaming. But you're flying in around 3:00 on Friday, you said,
yeah, I will double check that. I will double check. Actually, I can double check that now. Just talk amongst yourselves. I'm a little verklempt. Does anybody get that?
Yes.
Yes.
A little, absolutely.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I got it right here. Hang on. No,
we'll just talk.
I'll have to find him. Text me because I work till what 5 my time, which is like what 9 your time.
Yeah.
So text me and
during the day.
We'll get it worked out. Yeah. And so, like I said, if anybody else wants to, I know I'm not a YouTuber, so I'm a little bit of an outsider here. But if anybody else wants to keep in touch or wants to learn more about Mike, hear funny stories about how he jumped up on a stone bench and started kicking the top of it or something.
Well, he's made of rocks too, so yep. He hurt the bench probably. Yeah.
I do have some funny stories about Mike Clobby. So, and with that, I'm going to go because most of these people have just been sitting here listening to Mark and myself talk. So I'm sure they have important things to say. I will be in lurk mode. You guys are the best, and I'll see some of you in a week. Have a good night, everybody. Oh, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to Mark, Nick, JT. I don't know if Tom is, but if you are, happy Father's Day to you.
I am, and thank you.
You as well.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.
Take care, Thor. See you soon. Yep.
The God of Thunder, mighty Thor. I can't do it justice.
We'll play that. No, here we go. I got it. Yep. So if I can, someday I'll be able to find this really quickly. But,
Perfect.
Yep, that's a classic. I'm so glad that we've got some of Mike's, I should say, real life friends, but friends in person. I guess is that a word? But glad that they'll help be our guide.
3D friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Nice. Yep.
That's really good. I like that too. 3D friends.
But no, it's glad that they'll be there to help guide us around. Visiting, and it's kind of tough to the family's been so welcoming and nice too, but it's kind of tough to you don't want to impose on anyone but I guess that's the idea behind this service. So the venue is going to be a much bigger venue now. I don't know how big it is, but I don't think I don't think anyone's going to be turned away that wants to go. So I know I'll mention that to Loki again, if anyone wants to head there. So here's the link again to Mike's obituary and link about the service. And I just want to give everyone a chance who wants to say a few words and about Clobby, if we want to go around the horn. I think JT said, I think you're all set, buddy, with
yep. Thank you very much.
But if anyone else wants to say a few more words, then we'll I've got something special that Claude sent me that we can and Claude's an artist. Claude Parrish is a 3D friend for many years.
3D friend. Oh, it's already become a thing.
Yeah. So I want to show that. But Retro, if you have anything else you'd like to
I'll
add,
say one last thing, and it's like I said. I mean, I'm not sure if I touched on this earlier, but I really appreciate this. You guys putting these various different streams together to remember Clobby, and it's helping with sort of I wouldn't call it necessarily closure, because I'm sure we'll never forget such a person, but I think it's just therapeutic and really great to come together and celebrate him and think, hear all the stories is just really touching me in a very special way. So I'm absolutely loving what you guys are doing together, just the community banding together to celebrate a really good person. So that is all that I have to say. I send out my love to everyone who is hurting right now and are feeling any heavy feelings. I hope that you will do better, definitely, and this will help. This community will help, and so that's all I have to say. I have a lot of empathy for everyone, and I do, even though I did not get to know him as well as I'd like, he was very much part of my weekly schedule.
Yeah, you're in the chat a lot. Yep, all the time.
He
Yep.
was part of my weekly schedule, and just it was very, very comforting to hear him on streams and just like when we interacted, we had interactions. It was very, very lovely, and he was a very wonderful man and very, very, very nice and kind. So definitely sending lots and lots of love to everyone who is listening right now, and praying that it gets a little bit easier every day.
Yep, well, for sure. Very well said. Very well said. Appreciate you being here and stopping in, and looking forward to streaming with you again sometime soon. And we did that great Christmas special. We got to figure
That
out.
was fantastic. That was legendary, I think.
It was fun. And believe it or not, I'm a nerd on Christmas music. So, and I learned a lot of stuff from you, and you had that great playlist. And thank you for putting together that Clobberin Times playlist. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna copy that to his channel. I'm sure you
Sure.
will.
Yes, absolutely.
And anyone that we miss, or I really appreciate you doing that. We can keep adding to that. To so people can watch all those tributes. So
Well, what I was hoping is that when people, would type in, Clobberin Times, they would get that, and then they can, or maybe many other playlists where they can actually go through and learn so much about him, and he would never be forgotten. So I encourage it. Yes, I encourage it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yep. And let's see. Let's go to Jilly Jill, as you were known as sometimes on Saturday Night Star Trek. What would you like to say in closing?
Well, first of all, Richard, that was beautiful. And RobAltis says that he became his Saturday night. It was my entire Saturday, because I put a lot of, maybe I put a little more time than I should have into my reviews. So I would watch the episodes on Saturday and review them. So yeah, that my Saturday was defined by Clobberin Times. And he inspires everything that I do online. I wouldn't be talking on YouTube because he was the first one to ask me on to talk about Gene Roddenberry. And I don't know, he's just the YouTuber who shows you how every YouTuber should be. And even with dealing with difficult people, he was very strong and patient. And I'm trying to figure out, certain things that he did. He would say things like, I hear you, I'm with you, I got you, no matter what kind of stupid, silly thing I was talking about. He was supportive. And so I do appreciate this community for that. And of course my daughter's here. So.
Oh, she loved Clobberin Times.
I'm gonna be a Powerpuff Girl.
Oh, she's gonna be a Powerpuff Girl. Awesome.
Oh, I thought you said a popsicle. I'm like, I would like to be a popsicle too.
Yeah, right. Hey, I could be that too. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Powerpuff Girl. That's all good.
Well, yeah, no, Powerpuff Girl. I think they were kind of influenced by Batman 66. If you watch, they have this little telephone just like the show. And
The OG Powerpuff Girls is a good show.
Oh, I love that.
At the episode
Right.
Meet the Beatles, I'm like, I got to review that with 70s rock fans sometime. I don't know if he's ever watched that. Probably not, but it mixes the Beatle, all kinds of Beatle references, but not to derail your beautiful train of thought there, Jill. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, I don't think we're ever going to stop talking about him. So I think actually Steve Mitchum had some better points in that. He was always very funny, and so I've been listening to the last Saturday Night Star Trek, and he was cracking me up. I didn't get to the scary part where J.G. Kirk ends up going to the hospital yet.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's less scary for everybody else.
Yeah, right. Well, now I know you're okay, so it won't be as scary to hear that.
Yeah, because I was like, what happened? I'm like, oh my goodness gracious,
I didn't remember all the questions the EMS asked me, and at one point they asked me what hospital, and I was like, oh gosh. After the fact, I had to ask my wife. I was like, hopefully I didn't say sick bay or Vincent Painesboro from Dr. House, but
yeah.
I did remember they asked me, is Mickey Mouse a dog or a horse? And I said a rat. And they laughed at that. But anyway, we'll get off in the
Take
week.
me to Rampart Hospital. The Soto there. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Jill.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me for this.
Oh, thank you for popping in. Anytime you want to hang on the Geekery. Yep. Oh, you roboted a little bit there, but
just saying, you don't know how helpful this stream is. This is
good. I'm glad. It's helping me a lot too, so it's helping me a lot. And thank you for the birthday wishes out there too. Much appreciated. Yep.
Now, Mark, real quick before you go, when you go down there, I looked at Google Maps for the venue.
Mm-hmm.
There is a small business-owned donut shop there.
Oh no!
So yeah, maybe possible eatery material.
You better go, Mark.
I better go. Yeah. Time to eat the donuts. If I remember the time to make the donuts commercial. Yeah, time to eat the donuts. Well, I'll take Dadman there with me. Yep, Dadman will be there. Yep. So,
yeah.
And my buddy Nick Weiser, any
definitely.
I know there's a lot to say about Mike.
I know, and I have been speaking on him for hours on a stream, and it's still not enough. So I try to be not as samey as the Airstreams because I have covered a lot of ground. But Clobby, I know we kept progress on this, and I just want to let you know that my completion is a little bit closer to this day, thanks to Fars Day. I have been building my Condiment King for a while. He's got his legs now intact, underwear intact. He just needs his pack there so we can put his ketchup and mustard. So we're almost there. And last thing, we are renaming going forward Friday night. We had a vote Friday night for the Comic Shop Talk show. It will now be retitled Clobby's Comic Shop. starting with
Awesome.
episode 1 this Friday night.
Awesome.
Clobbery's Comic Shop on Friday nights, and we're still in the talks. We're gonna figure out a way of honoring him at least once a month, maybe cover a comic that he liked or something. We're figuring out how we want to do it, the logistics of it, but we're gonna do something for that. But at the very least, we now have his name a part of the show going forward. And thank you, TZ. It was a great show. It was very cathartic, as the same with Wednesday night was. And yeah, I already miss the man every fucking day. I mean, he was a part of my life every single week for the last 3.5 years. In some cases, it felt like almost every day. And not 1 minute was I sick of it. It was just like, hey, let's talk some more. So I will always cherish that memory to the moon back. And he was the first guy on YouTube, who's ever gotten to speak with my children, and they loved him as well. So I'm honored to say that he had that first privilege. And yeah, thanks for having me, Mark. Good to hang out with you.
Great idea. And then I'll be in Baton Rouge or New Orleans that night, but I'll try to pop in maybe with my cell phone with Steve Mitchum and that's the Oracle show, just to say hi for a couple minutes, and I'll bring my
you always
I know that. I know that.
Link.
Oh, I know that, but I have the keys of the king. But typically Friday night, as I always said, is spend time with my much better half. So that's why I'm not there that often. She actually wants to spend time with me once in a while. Actually, took 8 hours to drive to DC on Friday afternoon, so Friday morning to evening. So she got to spend too much time with me on that Friday. But no, that's a great idea for a name of the show, and that's gonna be a true honor for Clobberin Times. So
thank you
for doing that. Yep, and hail to Freddie. I don't know if I've seen you on Sunday Night Geekery, but thank you for stopping by, and much appreciated. Yep. Mrs. Mark is she's cool to put up with me, but thank you, Nick. That's going to be great to see that. We don't like renumbering things normally, but that's okay, because that's an exception. Whole new volume. It's a new volume. It's a new volume, right?
Yep. It's a new volume, and it's not a gimmick. This is the number one that counts. This is the actual collectible.
Yep. And thank you, Mr.
I'm
Angel.
gonna do something similar as that.
Oh, great! Yep. Yeah, we all want to honor Clobberin Times. Yep, and we don't know what's going to happen with Saturday Night Star Trek and all the shows on Clobby's channel. It's really kind of soon to figure all that out, but hopefully we'll do something. We're not sure yet, or just gotta wait. And it's just so soon and so sudden. So be announced, I guess. Oh, Jill, we lost you for a second there. Yep. But Jill did the robot there. But
you guys decide.
Yeah, well, that'll be that'll. I'm gonna leave that one for Saturday night up to Raquel, because that was her thing with Clobberin Times, obviously. But we'll.
I think
we'll see
Tom
what
gets to say anything.
Yeah, well, now it's Tom's turn. Yep.
Oh wow, man. I mean, this has been a rough week for everybody. I know Mark and I have discussed keeping this going on Sunday nights. So hopefully I'll be able to pop in here.
Thank you.
Even more frequently than I did before, but it was already kind of my last stop of the week. You know what I mean? Like I said, it always kind of reminded me of a bar. You just pop in, and you guys all know my name.
Yep. Whoever knows your
and
name. Right?
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, 9 times out of 10, I just wait for you guys to be done talking Doctor Who or whatever the latest thing you were torturing yourself with was that week. The Acolyte recently. Usually it was Doctor Who, but yeah. And then I'd pop in and we'd just talk about whatever come up. And that's what I loved about you guys, is that it didn't matter that it could go anywhere. So that's one thing I love about this show, and I hope to continue that. And I will miss Clobby every week, doing it, and same thing with on the show. And I know we all will. But the best thing we can do is just keep keep his memory alive. Do what he would do. Ask yourself, what would Clobby do? So I think that would help all of us, because I think it was Jill or one of y'all said earlier, he taught us how to be. He's the best way to learn how to be a YouTuber. And you're right. Like I forgot exactly how it was said, but he is the best YouTuber out there. And as far as like how he treats everybody, how he treats his audience, never seen him in a Twitter spat. Even if he had some drama going on, he usually tried to keep it as background as possible and try to snuff it out in some way, shape, or form with kindness, which I don't think enough people do anymore. And yeah, I mean, you guys said so many beautiful things about him. I don't think I can say anything more than anybody has already, but yeah, I hope we can keep this going, Mark, and I'll definitely do my best to be here for you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yep. Like I said, it's never going to be the same, but you want to keep that memory alive and keep remember your friend and keep going. So yeah, I mean, I was thinking of not streaming tonight, but I would have been, and it helps a lot of people I've been seeing on Twitter. It's help them to have a place to hang out and reminisce and talk. And I know you did. Everyone on this panel has done shows honoring Mike. So it's great to have that out there for the family and friends and everyone. It's a coping mechanism. I mean, it might sound cliched, but that's helps bring people even closer together, and you need that, right? That's why we have funerals and wakes and memorials. So yeah, hopefully, I know it's gonna be tough for a lot of people to get there, to visit down in New Orleans in person, but I'm gonna be there Friday through, well, I guess leaving, Monday afternoon. But if anyone is headed down there now, Jill, we know is going. So I know Dadman is going, and hopefully Loki will go now that he knows that there's room at the venue. Yeah, hopefully we can get a casual meetup, maybe Saturday night or the afternoon, or one of those nights. But let me put the link in one more time here, and I want to thank everyone for being here. I'm not going to shout everyone out individually tonight, but God, you guys are all been a huge support to everyone, and it's made the evening. I'm not gonna say a wonderful evening, but it's been a wonderful tribute again to Clobberin Times. So, it's tough. I mean, it's really, really tough, and I kind of got my emotions under control, but I could lose it at any minute again. I think, as I said, being away this weekend knocked me out of my funk a little bit, because I know Mike wouldn't want me to be in a funk. What are you so upset over me? And of course we'd say you're nuts, because everyone loved you, and God, I wish I could have. I can't believe that saying goodnight after Saturday Night Star Trek. And I was kind of tired, and I've said this before in the Wednesday stream. Normally, Raquel's got to go a little bit earlier because she's got to get to work, and I probably should be going too. But normally Raquel would have to, cut out because of work, not because she didn't want to hang out. And then we'd hang out for a few more minutes after that, and then sometimes it turned to another half hour. But it was Saturday night, so it wasn't so so bad, because then you're going into Sunday, and that last time I was really tired, and I had stuff going on. I think I had been doing stuff all day, and I kind of I almost I said goodbye, and sometimes we'll say, oh, you want to hang out for a few more minutes, and that night I think he kind of paused because he expected me to hang out, and I'm like, oh, I'm really, really tired. I got to go tonight. And that was, he said goodnight, and that was the last time I talked to him. And, God, if you had those moments back again, you can't get those moments back, but that's why it's so important to let people know how you feel about them, and just cherish all those times. And, you just never know. It's just hard to believe. And we hoped, oh, he's going to get better. He's going to wake up. And Dr. McCoy didn't visit with a pill, unfortunately. So we were all praying for a miracle that didn't happen. But thank God we have all these wonderful memories of our good friend. And I think you can see how beloved he was by all the tributes and everyone stopping by, and all the channels. Doomcock did a special show. People, everyone's been shouting him out, so want to try to name everyone, but thank you, Retro Nerd Girl, for that list, and Six for mentioning Jill's show. I think that is on Retro Nerd Girl's list, but we're gonna make sure that list is out there. And thank you, everyone. So, again, here's the information memorial if you can make it, and if not, the streaming information will be out there, obviously. So just know it's on. It's going to be on Sunday, and the family wants it to happen. So one way or another, we're gonna get it done. So
I was going to say a lot of these funeral homes actually do have setups for streaming themselves.
They do. Yeah.
So
that's a good point. Yeah, and this is I think this is like an all-purpose venue, but they might. Yeah, so I'll have to talk to Jonathan.
So I want to check into it. Yeah, because I know that's been more, especially since COVID, sadly, but a more common thing as of the last few years. So
they're actually set up. Yeah, they have some of the gear there. I'm pretty sure there's a big.
You just
TV.
plug right in. Yeah.
Just plug into. So I think there's a big TV there. Am I gonna be in touch with John?
Or they'll broadcast it themselves through their website or what have you. I mean, I've seen various ways, like because I mean, like I said, during COVID especially, I noticed that was on the uptick because there was one funeral I could attended that way basically. Yeah.
Yeah, which is tough. God, it's tough. But it's a great way. Yeah, if you got to travel hours and hours away. What was sad about during the vid was you were next door and you couldn't go. But that is a nice one. Good thing that came out of that was the ability.
Yeah, because I mean we're in completely opposite sides of the continent.
Costs a lot of money, and not that it's just not practical. Yeah, it's just.
I would love to be there. I mean, and I thought about it, and I'm sure if there's more than enough people I know that would help me get there and all that kind of business, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not something I feel like I never got the chance to see him in person when he was living. I think I would feel so super bad about the only time I got to be able to see him was, to lay him to rest. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah. But and this is actually going to be the family used the term more casual, but a celebration of life. So I think they're going to do a formal burial just for the family at a later date. But they wanted to get this, give everyone an opportunity to talk about Mike and share their love of Mike. At this on Sunday. So which is. I'm glad that they're doing it sooner rather, like I had a friend who died a few years ago and the spouse, for whatever reason, it ended up not doing anything. And it was just kind of, we're going to do something and with COVID and then never happened. And then,
it's too bad.
Then it's too bad. So, but things happen. So I'm glad.
But a lot of these streams, I think, have helped a lot of people through a lot of days of grief. And I mean, I'm kind of where you are, Mark. I mean, we just, it's you got that numbness phase too, I guess you call it, or it's just kind of like now is where you got to try and pick up the pieces and go forward. And especially because we've said it time and time and time again, this is the last thing Clobby would want any of us to do is to despair and let it get us down. He would want us to keep on moving, keep on fighting. I mean, I could almost hear him ranting. He's like, "Are you guys insane after this last week of the acolyte?" You gotta tell people, he would be that way. I mean, and Freddie, I wish I was the head of Midnight's Edge. I just gotta say, I mean, I'm not that smart. Andre is the head, but I'm definitely the gopher of the channel, I guess you could call it. But no, Clobby was definitely the best of us, and I think the best we can do is just try to live up to his example.
Very well said. So on that note, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull everyone out of the stream, but don't go away, everyone. Please, on the panel, stay. But I'm gonna pull everyone out, and I want to thank everyone for being here. And tonight, I'm just gonna end with something very special that Claude did. I'm gonna show the overlay, and then something special that Claude did. I have permission to show, and I know he had to head out, but if you're following Claude on Twitter, give him a shout out. For some of his great artwork. I don't know if he's posted this yet on Twitter, but if you do see it, give him a shout out. But thank you everyone here, and thank you everyone in the chat, and just can't thank you all enough. And I just can't shout everyone out like Clobberin Times would kick me if I'm not doing it. But tonight I think it's fitting to just leave with this in memoriam sign and followed by Claude's artwork. So I'm going to remove everyone here and thank you everyone. But yeah, everyone on the panel, please stay. But God bless you all. Happy Father's Day, and God bless our dear departed friend Clobberin Times, who we'll never forget, and his memory will live on forever, as they said in the end of Star Trek 2. You're never truly dead as long as you're remembered. So God bless Clobberin Times, and we're gonna miss you. It's not gonna be the same without you.